silent prayer. Pledging allegiance
to the flag
of the United States
of
America, to the republic which stands
one nation,
under God, indivisible,
justice for all.
liberty, justice for all.
Okay. Ms. Nylab, we're here on the roll call.
Mr. Dabney?
Present.
Mr. Fitzpatrick?
Present.
Mr. Mack?
Present.
Ms. Deitch?
present,
Mr. Don Prespolinski?
Present.
Mr. Paul Prespolinski?
Present.
Mr. Simmons?
Present.
Ms. Zegas?
Present.
And Ms. Tillman.
Present.
We have 9 present and no one absent.
Okay. On to the approval of the minutes. Are there any corrections, deletions, or additions to the January 19th council meeting minutes this evening? Can I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve. Second.
Okay, we had a motion made by Councilman Fitzpatrick and a second one by Councilman Paul Prespolinski. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, the minutes are approved. Reports of standing committees. Are there any standing committees reports this evening?
Can
Mr.
we
President?
do the special, can we do approve the special meeting minutes as well?
Sure, next page.
No, it's right there under approval of the minutes. We need to do them both.
I move that we approve special meeting from January 26th.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
Minutes are approved. Oh, I see that. Two meetings there. Okay. Reports of standing committees. Don Prespolinski.
Yeah, Mr. President, I'm the liaison from the City Council to the LaPorte County Solid Waste District. And the Solid Waste District has been looking at their financial picture and has been looking at their budget for the past couple months. The last Monday, we had a workshop, which was publicly notified. The workshop took place on Monday at 1:30 in the afternoon. And what we did, the committee, and I'd like to tell you who else is on the board with me. All 3 county commissioners are on this board. Mayor Perry, which wasn't there because of his COVID sickness. County Councilman Mike Mollenauer and Tom Dermody, the mayor of LaPorte. So we represent the board for the Solid Waste District. Anyway, speaking of, the budget, we had this workshop. We went through the whole budget. We cut another $100,000 from the budget of the Solid Waste District. And even after doing that, we looked, and the district is basically at a let's just say, and I'm not going to get into a lot of figures this evening because we're going to have another workshop that I'm going to tell the whole council about that they'll be able to zoom in on and get all the details. That the district is probably about $500,000 in the red right now. And one of the reasons for that, or a couple of the reasons for that, is they have used up all their revenues from the tipping fees that they used to get from the landfill here on the south end of town. The other thing is that every year the curbside recycling that Republic Disposal picks up, that goes up 4% every year. So that's also caused a increase this year. Anyway, with that being said, it was discussed if there was going to be a possible fee increase, and the board discussed possibly a $1.50 or $2 a month rate increase for each individual homeowner. And the board took a vote to have a $2 a month, which would be $24 a year to each homeowner, a rate increase for the user fee that goes into providing curbside recycling. It goes into providing the electronic pickups, the hazardous waste days, the waste boxes that are like at Cableland, where you can go and put your disposal recycles there. So the bottom line is that we took a vote, and all of the members except Mayor Perry was not there and Commissioner Matias wasn't there. She had to leave early to go to a meeting. So anyway, it was, I believe that's 6 members. The 6 members voted in favor of a $2 a month increase. So with that being said, there's going to be a Zoom meeting on February the 10th, and I will give each council member the information, the passcode, and whatever else you need to get on. It's going to be 6:30 in the evening on February the 10th. And it'll be open, it's open to the public, and the public can comment. And like at our last workshop, we did not have any public comment whatsoever. And I know it took place at 1:30 in the afternoon, but that's why this meeting is going to be taking place at 6:30 in the evening. So if people from the public wish to participate, they can participate and get an explanation and also voice their opinion. Thank you, Mr. President. That's all I have on that subject.
Thank you very much. Very informative. I'm looking forward to that one. Any other standing committees? Mr. Fitzpatrick? No reports?
No, nothing at this time. The Finance Committee did not meet because we didn't have any claims this week.
Absolutely. So as to the claims docket, there are no claims to approve. And this is even for the Riverboard or the Boyd Development Funds. So that's first that I've seen.
That's good.
Thank you, Mr. Fitzpatrick and Mr. Dabney. Reports of special select committees this evening. Any others? We've already done that. Reports of other city officers and departments. And Bonnie, Chef, I think you muted it. Were you trying to speak there? Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
There we go.
Thank you. I am Benita Schaaf. I'm the immediate past president of the Commission for Women, and therefore I am going to present to you tonight the annual report from 2019. And when I'm done, Faye Moore, who is the current president, is going to give the annual report for 2020. We'll get them both done tonight. I hope this works. Okay. What? Okay. Do you see the annual report for 2019 on your screen? Is that working, I hope?
No.
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 Share. Here. Is that any better? Oh, okay.
Yes.
That works. Oh, good. Okay. This is the annual report for 2019, and the Michigan City Commission for Women was established in 2011 by Ordinance 4167. Its mission is to ensure that women and men have equal opportunity to function fully and optimally as citizens of the city. And there's a list here of the commissioners. In 2019, Dahlia Zegas was our president that year. Good for us. And Much of our focus during that year was on awarding grants. We awarded 8 grants that year. This is the list of them, and I'm going to tell you about just a few of them. The Dunebrook Stewards of Children was a program for preventing child sexual abuse. And one of the important parts of it was that they trained teachers and school staff how to fulfill the requirements that the state has for reporting suspected abuse. It's been confusing, I know, for years for everybody. Another program that we funded was the Salvation Army Pathways to Hope. And this initiative is to help families overcome challenges like unemployment, unstable housing, lack of education, and to lead them down a path toward increased stability. The next one was a program that actually happened in 2020, but we funded it in 2019. The Lubesnik Center for the Arts asked us if we would serve as co-sponsors along with NIPSCO and NISOURCE of their exhibit called Well-Behaved Women, Celebrating 100 Years of Women's Suffrage. And the exhibit was on from June 17th to October 23rd, 2020, and featured artworks by women prior to the passing of the 19th Amendment in 1920 and since then too. I believe Faye is going to talk more about that since it happened last year. Another of our grants was to Barker Middle School. They had, for the first time, they had a student who advanced to the international competition of the International Math League competition. Excuse me. It was the first time they had someone, so they were very excited about it. And then another program that we funded was called the Mission of Productions Michigan City Moves, a 4-part migration. And they gave a free performance, dance performance at Tryon Farm. And pictured here are dancers from the South Shore Dance Alliance. We also had 2, and we had a few more grants that we funded also that are listed in this. And we also had some special events that we have every year. We celebrated the International Women's Day on March 8th with a celebration at the Nest. It was free and public, and it was very, very well attended. And then we also celebrated Women's Equality Day with a luncheon and speaker on September 5th at Lubesnik Center for the Arts. Again, it was free and open to the public. And we do those 2 events every year and observe Women's History Month in March too. So the final 2 pages here is the Treasurer's Report for 2019. We awarded $9,593 in grants. We had expenses of $2,044. Our beginning balance was $33,190.45. We had expenses of $11,638 and ended with a balance of $21,551.71. So does anyone have any questions about this?
Oh.
No. Okay, well then, Faye Moore, who is our current president, is going to give the report now for 2020.
Thank you, Bonnie. Bonnie's going to try to put the share screen for the presentation. Thank you. All right. Our first slide is the focus of the Michigan City Commission for Women in 2020 was on women's history, inspired by the centennial of the ratification of the 12th Amendment, giving women the right to vote. We have plans to spend a year educating the public about the important milestone in our history And we were honored in August with a resolution passed by the Michigan City Common Council and a proclamation issued by Mayor Dwayne Perry honoring the centennial of the ratification of the 19th Amendment and celebrating Women's Equality Day. And we thank you guys for that. Slide 2, we're talking about the community programs.
I'm sorry, Faye, I don't know if that's showing. I thought you were going to
It's not.
display this.
No.
Can anyone see it?
No, right now I just have the Michigan City Commission for Women report.
I can't
We're
see
not on the
how I can
we're
share.
not on the right slide.
I don't see how I can share it from my screen. No, I can't share it myself. You'll have to.
Okay. All right. So she can't share it, and what you guys should have received that today. We sent out the PowerPoint
I can't.
for our annual report for 2019 and 2020 for the Commission for Women. Did any of you receive that, councilmen, councilwomen?
Yes.
Okay.
Can we forward that to the clerk's office, please?
I didn't hear the question.
Can we forward that to the clerk's office for the record?
I thought we did. Yeah, Bonnie did send it to the clerk's office also.
Okay.
But we'll resend it, Gail. We'll resend it just to make sure.
Thank
But
you.
we also Bonnie sent it out to the commissioners. And I really appreciate Bonnie because she did all the hard work. All I was going to be doing today was presenting it with the slide presentation, which she can't share it. And I did not download it on my laptop. So I'm going to see if I can, I don't know how to even get to that. I can't do it with one screen at a time.
Yeah. If Andy will allow me to share, I can share it.
Thank you, Councilwoman Angie.
So
Lloyd. So Bonnie, I'm still seeing your screen up.
she has to stop sharing.
Okay, great.
All right. I'll pull it up and share it for you.
Okay. So while she's doing that, I can say that the Commission for Women, as Bonnie told us earlier, our focus for Michigan City Commission for Women is to inspire women to do the extraordinary. Like we have, since we've been working the Women's Commission Michigan City, we have encouraged firefighters, women firefighters. Women's firefighters. We have encouraged, as you'll see in this presentation, a young lady. Is that me? I need to turn my volume down. Too close. Is that better? Okay. Angie, could we go to the women's events slide? Yeah, that one. These were the community programs that we had planned in March during the Women's History Month, which included a historian speaking at Michigan City Public Library, 2 women history event fundraisers at Barker Mansion, and an event every Sunday that month at the Nest. Unfortunately, all of them had to cancel except for the one at the Nest. We did manage to do that one. And when I get the treasurer's report, you'll find out about the proceeds from that. For the schools, we provided a list of women's history online resources for teachers and held a poetry contest for students K through 12 who live in Michigan City. The winners will read their poems at our commission meeting on February the 18th, which we hope you guys will join us. It will be Zoom, so we hope you'll join us for that. And so the poetry contest was about how Naomi Anderson inspires me. And I know you guys are aware that there is a group that is working project on Naomi Anderson, celebrating Naomi Anderson. I hope the commissioners the councilmen are aware of that. Yeah, I see some of you nodding your heads. So you are aware, and so that's why we chose how Naomi Anderson inspires me, so that we can start getting the word out to the public that this celebration is going to be taking place this year if COVID doesn't stop everything. So far, we're moving ahead with that project, and it's running through on schedule with that project. Slide 4, the grants awarded in 2020. $350 to Barker Middle School to pay for registration fees for 10 girls to attend the Girls STEM Conference in Indianapolis last March. $500 to a Soul Steppers drill team to purchase winter uniforms, which they wore at their first competition in 2020 in late October in Denver, Colorado. And $500 to Kayla Basilko, a student at PNW, for the Anita King Project. And Anita King Project was the PNW student, Kayla, is uncovering the history of a Michigan City native, Anita King, born in 1884. And Miss King was an actress who did her own stunts in silent films, a fierce activist for women's issues. And she was also the first woman to drive across the USA without a man. Clap, clap, clap. The Anita King, if men can do it, so can a woman, was her theme that kept her motivated and kept her going. Was if men can do it, so can a woman. And she has Miss Anita has gone and gotten some of the pictures and some of the plaques and some of the articles that were written on, Kayla has gotten some of the pictures and plaques that were written by Anita King and presented to her, and articles that are inscribed in bronze and whatever. Bonnie, is this going to be at the Lebesnick Center? No? Okay. Next slide is about the 10 Barker and Krieger middle school students were able to attend the Girls STEM Conference in Indianapolis last March with the help from our grant. And they gave us a report that they really enjoyed it, and it really encouraged them and inspired them to do further in the STEM program. And there's a picture of the girls that were in Indianapolis. And then our next one is the Soul Steppers drill team that received the $500 from our commission in order to purchase the winter uniforms, which they wore in Denver, Colorado. And that was October 23rd to the 25th. And our grant was used to purchase the uniforms. Then we had a project, as Bonnie talked about, Well-Behaved Women, celebrating 100 years of women's suffrage at the Lebesnick. We co-sponsored at the Lebesnick Center for the Arts. And that was a very good exhibit. It had showed people clothes that were made that with inspiring themes on them, showed different hairstyles that were done by African American women and Italian women that were displayed, and also we did a scream session with Whitney Bradshaw, where the women got together. So many times we have so much bottled up in us and we never get to express ourselves. And Whitney Bradshaw is a photographer that captures women screaming. And she had over 100 exhibited at the LeBesnet Art Center. And then she also added some of us signed up, and we were outside at the LeBesnet Art Center and had our pictures taken with us screaming. And it's a good feeling to get some of those pent up frustrations and things out, and to have it epitomized on photography. You know, she really captured it. She really did an awesome job. So the next slide is our Commission for Women's Treasurers Report. For 2020, we started with a balance of $21,551.71 and ended with a balance of $20,089.75. And I guess you can see it. If not, like I say, you will do have a copy in your email of this presentation. Are there any questions? We try not to take up too much of your time. Questions?
I don't have.
All right.
Councilman Antonelli?
We thank you.
I don't have a question. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we got you.
Oh, sorry. Just a comment. First of all, thank you for the presentation, and kudos to everything that you supported. I'm your new liaison, so hopefully I can help with some of those things, especially with STEM. As an engineer, I know that's something that's near and dear, that we don't see enough women engineers in the tech field doing coding and things of that nature. Also, that exhibit was phenomenal. We were able to take a couple of groups to the exhibit. Well, at least I took 2 groups to the exhibit, and I thought it was an awesome way of portraying and getting the history of how women weren't able to participate in artistry without being either married or having a father who had money to allow them or afford them the ability to even present their artwork. So I appreciate the Women's Commission stepping up for doing those things, and I look forward to working with all of you this year.
Thank you, Angie Deutsch, and we look forward to working with you, especially since you know how to do all this computer swabby stuff. That's been a hindrance to us also.
Right, okay. Councilman Dabney?
Real quick, just want to say that I really appreciated the part at the end there where you talked about the fundraisers that you guys are doing, because I really hope that other commissions that are out there can really do some fundraising as well. And I know with Councilwoman Deitch on there, you guys are going to kick that in gear with fundraising. So that was good to see that you're doing fundraising and that. So really appreciate that. Good job.
Councilman Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, just wanted to add really quick, because I was the liaison previously. I know 2020 was a little difficult with COVID and trying to get everything facilitated, because I know there were big plans for the 100-year anniversary. Yes. But, when I first got on as their liaison in 2019 and I saw the work that they were doing, I just didn't understand why they were one of the unpaid commissions. So that's why I worked to, make sure that they were compensated, and all the things that they were doing, all the fundraising, all the outreach, all the support of, neighborhood organizations. They did all of this on their own without compensation, without a highly paid secretary, and they were content on doing it without being, compensated for the little bit of time that they spend during the meeting. So I just wanted to say, they're a great asset to the community, and I was happy to work with them over the last year or so. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
We were glad to have you and your support. Thank you.
Okay, Councilman Paul Prespolinski, did you have your hand up first?
Yes, thank you, President Mack. I would like to thank all the commissioners and the commission themselves and supporters of the commission on the helping women become more successful and have more confidence, because a lot of people don't realize, like what you said earlier, is I work with a lot of women electricians, women millwrights. I have a long going respect for women in the workforce. Thank you for your efforts.
Thank you,
Councilman
Councilman.
Don Prespolinski.
Yeah, Faye and Bonnie, thank you very much for your hard work and efforts with the commission. The presentation was great. And I believe it was 3 years ago under Mayor Muir that I sponsored an ordinance that got that Women's Commission $10,000 and some other commissions in order to get the ball rolling. So you guys have done a great job. You're spending the money well. Keep up the good work.
Thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank each of you. God bless.
Okay, thank you very much. Kudos to you guys. Outstanding presentation. We look forward to have you back as soon as you can. Outstanding. Thank you.
Thank you.
On to the next order of business. Ms. Nyla, petitions. Are there any petitions this evening?
All right.
There are no petitions this evening.
Okay, on to communications. Ms. Nyla, are there any communications received in the clerk's office?
Okay. Correspondence was received in the clerk's office on January 13th from Barbara Easton Watson, Superintendent of the Michigan City Area Schools, appointing Dr. Wendell McCollum as the designee to the Social Status of African American Males Commission. Correspondence was received on January 14th from Mr. Jeff Wright, City Engineer, regarding Barker Street projects. Correspondence was received also on the 14th from regarding a memo that was sent March of 2020 addressing the 2021 reservice candidate segments, PACER ratings. Correspondence was received in the clerk's office on the 20th from City Controller Hoffmaster regarding prepayment agreement on the ESG loan that was requested by one of the council people. Correspondence was received in the clerk's office on the 19th from Rodney McCormick addressing his appointment to the social status of African American males. Correspondence was received January 21st from the NAACP reappointing LaTanya Troutman to the social status of African American Male Commission. Correspondence was received on the 21st from the citizens of Mayfield subdivision regarding a recent article in the News Dispatch. Correspondence was received from Mr. and Mrs. Tom Smith, 1710 West 10th Street on January 25th regarding what he is being offered for his home/business from NICTE for the double track project. Correspondence was received in the clerk's office from Attorney Jim Meyer that he received from Harris, Walsh, and Luckman, attorney at law office, addressing the correspondence the council received on January 25th from Mr. and Mrs. Tom Smith. Correspondence was received in the clerk's office from President Mack on January 25th, informing the council of the changes that will be implemented at all future council meetings. Correspondence was also received from Tatanisha George, Executive Director, EEO Officer of the Michigan City Human Rights Commission, advising Pastor Dennis Carroll will be their representative to the Social Status of African American Males Commission. And last, correspondence was received on the 27th from Councilwoman Zagas that she received from Laura Henderson, member of the Tree Board, regarding the secretary position that was taken out of their budget.
Thank you, Ms. Nyla. I was going to read mine, but I'm not going to do it in the interest of time. I'm pretty sure everybody has seen the email. The expectations are set, and our parliamentarian is going to enforce them as written. Ms. Nyla, will you please read our first resolution by title only?
A resolution by title only, a resolution increasing and decreasing certain appropriations within the budget of the Michigan City Public Arts Committee of General Fund number 1001 for the year 2021 in Michigan City, Indiana. And this is introduced by Mr. Don Prespolinski.
And does the author have anything to add at this time?
Mr. President, yeah, what this is a decrease in the other supplies of $4,061, an increase in other services and charges for $4,061. And what has happened at budget time is this line item of other supplies, the amount that's placed in there was placed in the wrong spot. It should have been placed in the other services and charges. So Yvonne, the city controller, is going to make that change to correct it. And she told me today that she's already has a note made so that when the budget comes around for 2022, that line item will be correctly submitted to the clerk's office or to the controller's office. That is it.
Thank you, sir. Does the public have any comments? Any public comments? They can be done through the Q&A, I'm pretty sure, still right now, the same way they did before. Any public comments? Seeing there's no public comments, does the council have any questions or comments? No questions or comments for...
Motion to approve.
Sean,
I have one question.
Yes.
Somebody else had a question. Go ahead.
Yeah, Sean.
The services that they're requesting this line item move for, what were those services?
Well, it just says professional services. If Yvonne is still on the call, she may be able to explain that. I don't know exactly what the professional services are, but it's being taken out of one, going into the other account. Yvonne, do you have any idea what the professional services are for?
No, I don't.
Okay.
They just said that they don't buy supplies and that they just wanted the money transferred to another professional services line. So I'm not sure what they actually expend that money on.
I can maybe I can comment, and this may help a little bit, Councilman Fitzpatrick. But I know that the Arts Committee, they rent a lot of art pieces and they have them throughout the city. So that may be part of it where it falls under professional services, a renting of some of these art pieces they have. Other than that, I don't know exactly what that is used for. All I know is this resolution is to get it into the right line item so they can expend the money.
Okay, Councilwoman Jigas?
Yes, I have a note from Shannon Eason in the chat. It says this line item is for leasing sculptures in the Uptown Arts District.
There you go.
Thank you very much, Shannon. A motion to approve was made by, I forgot already. Can we have a motion to approve?
Second.
Did Dabney, you had your hand up for?
Yep, I made the motion. I made that motion to approve.
Okay, motion to approve by Councilman Dabney, second by Councilman Paul Prespolinski. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
We have to take a vote.
We have to take a vote on this?
We need to do a call vote because it's financial.
Okay, Ms. Nyla, take the vote.
Ms. Tillman,
Aye.
Mr. Dabney,
Aye.
Mr. Fitzpatrick,
Aye.
Mr. Mack,
Aye.
Ms. Deitch,
Aye.
Mr. Don Prespolinski,
Aye.
Mr. Simmons,
Aye.
Ms. Zigas,
Aye.
and Mr. Paul Prespolinski.
Aye.
We have 9 in favor and no one opposed.
Okay, Ms. Nyla, will you please read our second resolution by title only?
A resolution by title only, requesting joint meetings with the Redevelopment Commission to discuss planned developments and financial information regarding tax increment finance, transit development districts, and blocks and matters. And this is introduced by Mr. Paul Prespolinski.
And does the author have anything to add at this time?
No, I would just hope that everybody would support it because there's other matters that we need to discuss with the RDA. So with saying that, I think that the meeting tonight was good, but I think there's other things that need to be discussed. And one of them is the issue with the Bloxham problem, and that we need more input.
Okay, do we have any comments or questions from the public? Comments from the public? No comments from the public. Comments from the public. Okay. Any comments from the council? Councilman Don Prespolinski?
Yeah, Councilman Mack, I'm going to vote in favor of this. The reason why, yeah, you know, we have TIF information, you know, we can learn about that. But one of my big issues is, and has been since I've been on the city council, and I'm sure some of my colleagues feel the same way, is what the issue is with the Bloxham company and the development of that corridor. I know we talk about different areas, the news dispatch area, the police station area, but I mean, to me, one of the golden developmental areas is right along that Trail Creek there. And why can't we come to an agreement? The original agreement was made July 15th, 2009. That's been 11 years. 11 years in the company. Now, I'm not saying anything wrong with Bloxham. It's a fine company. It employs many people in Michigan City. I'm just saying why we can't move this company and help them. I mean, one of the agreements one of the statements in that agreement is that they have to move within 15 miles of their factory location right now. I mean, has the city in Bloxham actually sat down and tried to find a location of a factory? I mean, you have the Interoil factory that sits out there on Royal Road. That's probably been empty for 10 years. Why can't they move in there? I just want to see some movement made, and I want to get the answers. I always hear, oh, it's in litigation. We're going to have an executive session. We can't say it's all secret. Well, I think it's time for the secrets to come out of the closet so that the city knows and so that the city council knows what we have to look forward to on some type of development in that area. You know, I'm not worried about Pine Street and 10th or Pine and 9th, Pine and 8th and all these little corner blocks. Let's look at something big and dramatic like the Long Trail Creek. And it's just time that the council stands up and says, we want to know what's going on. So I'm going to support this.
Okay, thank you, sir. Councilman Dabney.
Yeah, I just had a quick question. What Don referenced, and I wanted to ask Mr. Meyer, is this going through legal issues at this point? Because I don't know. Don, do you know? Because I don't know.
Can I answer him? Can I answer, Councilman?
Yeah, real quick.
Yeah. Yes, go ahead.
I don't know if it's going through legalities.
All right.
It's always what I always heard from Councilman Stimley, who was our representative to the Redevelopment Commission. You know, it's going through legalities. They wouldn't tell him anything because it's all tied up. I don't know what it's tied up about. You know, I just want to know as a councilman, I want to know to tell people what's going on, because to sit around for 11 years and don't tell the council anything, we're going to keep it all to ourselves because we're the Redevelopment Commission. Nobody else needs to know anything of what's going on in this city, but we're the ones, and hear me out, we're the ones that get elected. The Redevelopment Commission does not get elected. We represent the people. We appoint people to the Redevelopment Commission. No, but to answer your question, Mr. Dabney, no, I don't know.
Councilman Fitzpatrick.
So yeah, I did have a similar question like that for Attorney Myers, and I know with with the recent appointment of 2 council members to the redevelopment commission as commissioners, I'm asking if, as time goes on and these questions come up within the redevelopment commission and redevelopment authority, is it possible for Councilmember Mack and Councilmember Deitch to convey whatever information is still out there about this project to the rest of the council in maybe an executive session or in another confidential manner, if not with the redevelopment commission itself as an entire body, but with our representatives to get that information to the rest of us? Is that something that's possible, or is it just, do we need to get that directly from the entire commission? Thank you.
Sean, Caleb just sent a note that said he's having difficulty unmuting Attorney Myers. So unless Attorney Myers speaks right now, I'm gonna, or he can type it if he'd like. Attorney Myers can type that answer. That would be a impressive feat. So we're gonna have to get back with you on that one, Sean, because he can't get off mute right now. If he can jump right in. Councilman Paul Presbylinski.
I'm responding to the question. I would have to say that, has anybody seen the agreement on the Bloxham property? So that's the question that we need to have answered. It's a simple question, so you can read it. And when you have an exec session, because I talked to Mr. Myers about this, it's covered under the state statute. But when you have an exec session, you can't leave there and tell everybody about it. But the council members need to know. And it's not as a need to know basis. It's like Don Presbylinski said, we're elected representatives of the city of Michigan City. And this thing's been hanging around, and we need to make some movement so we don't lose that property. That's a great area for development. So I hope that you would support it, and we can move on and work with the redevelopment commission. Yes, Sean, I agree with you that we have 2 members of the city council on there now, but still having a meeting with them is different than relaying the information. And I don't think we're stepping out of our bounds by asking to get this going. Thank you.
Councilman Angie Nelson Dyke.
Oh, what I was going to say is I don't think we need a resolution to do that, and that's just my opinion. I believe that some of the steps that we've taken in making sure that we have representation. I know that we're going to be briefed here on the next meeting about that property and some things that are happening with that property. And I just think that I'm not sure, time-wise, I know that this has been going on for a while, but I'm not sure what a meeting is going to do to move things along with the council. Are we just trying to get an answer on what we can say to the public, or what is it that we're trying to do? Because we can't share anything in that meeting. So what is it that we're going to get out of it? Is that more information? But what I do know, and what I will say is that the notes for any litigation can be found, online through the courts. That's available, but also, like you said, I know Mr. Presbylinski talked about. Have you seen, the contract? I know from when I was on the city council before, there were several items that held it up, and certain individuals, I will say, may have been part of that issue as well. But now I think we should give this the new chair an opportunity to move some things along. And I don't know if a resolution isn't going to force the matter, but I think he will be more open. That's why we set the workshop up prior to this meeting to show that if we need to be more open and transparent, and that's why our discussion over about a month ago was about this monthly reporting. We do it with the EDC where we have a report. It's coded, but it still provides an update. And I just think we need to give it an opportunity. I'm not sure what a resolution will do to change that. I think we should give Council President and I a chance to help push some things along as well. So that's just my opinion on it. That we give it a couple of months and get through this, and if things don't change, we come back to that and force some different actions. I just don't know what an executive session will do for us to update the public, since we can't tell them anything if it's an executive session. And that was my only concern and my only opinion.
Right. Let's just state our opinions and not get into a debate here, because we're not going to turn this into anything more than the two comments. Councilwoman Tillman.
I just have one comment to make in regards to the resolution. If it was omitted, would it not be one and the same with the question being posed? Then is there a non-disclosure for the redevelopment? So do they have to sign a non-disclosure? And if not, then other than the executive sessions, that's the information that is not pertinent to the council or to the public. But anything else is not subject to non-disclosure, correct? And if that's the case, then I don't foresee a need for the resolution. Because even if you do the executive session, their information still will not be disclosed. There's certain information that cannot be disclosed if they're still in the middle of litigation, correct?
I would imagine, having not been on that council for too long, I'm going to refrain from saying anything. I will just tell you that listening to Mr. Chatfield's desire for transparency and my personal desire for transparency, the next meeting where this comes up, I'm going to find out to the dotted I and crossed T how much I can and cannot say legally from that perspective. So I commit to you that if it's possible to give these answers to you as long as I'm on that committee or commission, you'll have it. If not, the legalities are much bigger than us. I think we've spoke about that. Do we have a motion to approve?
Point of order. Since I'm the author of this, can I make a closing statement?
Yeah, you shouldn't make more than two. I'm going to allow this time, but we're going to strictly adhere to no member speaks more than twice. You had the opening and closing, and we allowed another one. But so yes, go right ahead.
Well, with everything said, is that we've been here 11 years, and we're at the point now where I think it's pertinent. And with an exec session, yeah, there is non-disclosure, and that goes for the council too on executive sessions. But we need to be able to get information, process it, and relay it back and give the redevelopment commission some direction, because I don't want to lose that property. It's too important to the development of the north end of Michigan City. And that's what I think you ought to look at, not if, who, what, why, or when, because when is now. We have to make a movement, and I believe that Bloxham is out of that property, and I don't want to see some missteps take place and wasted money when we get in there and at least discuss the agreement, so we have some knowledge at what kind of finances we're looking at. That's all. Thank you.
Okay, do we have a motion?
Motion to adopt.
Second.
A motion by Councilman Paul Prespolinski and a second by Councilman Don Prespolinski. Ms. Nyla, take the vote.
Mr. Dabney,
Nay.
Mr. Fitzpatrick,
Nay.
Mr. Mack,
Nay.
Ms. Deitch,
Nay.
Mr. Don Prespolinski,
Aye.
Mr. Simmons,
Nay.
Ms. Zegas,
Nay.
Mr. Paul Prespolinski,
Aye.
and Ms. Tillman.
Nay.
We have 2 in favor and 7 opposed. It fails.
Okay, Ms. Nyla, will you please read our third resolution by title only?
A resolution by title only requesting the Michigan City Plan Commission review and consider repealing section 17.02 in the Michigan City zoning code entitled landscaping requirements. And this is introduced by Mr. Paul Prespolinski, and the proposed resolution was tabled until February 2nd this evening.
And does the author have anything to say at this time?
Yes, I would like to say that I'm not asking for the section to be repealed. That was, I'm asking for it to be sent back for reconsideration to the Plan Commission. And the reason being is that I
There it is.
looked at this issue when I heard a problem with another property. So when I got a copy of it and I start reading the ordinance, because it was when the comprehensive plan was totally redone, I think in 2019, but in the section of 17-02, it talks about any public, or not public, but any private property located within the city limits of Michigan City. That's in section D, and it's subsection applicable, and that's paragraph A. And then it goes down to paragraph C. It talks about any land proposed for development or construction. And it has another sentence, and there's one, multifamily, non-residential, including commercial office space. And it talks about all new construction with an increased total gross floor space of more than 2,500 square feet. So when you take that subsection and add it with the caption under A, any private property, if I built onto my home, I would have to fall under this section. And because my corner lot, which is 2 lots put together, is a total of 10,000 square feet. So I'm way past the 5,000 footprint. So it would be about private property. And also in that section of 17, that if you had you went and got a permit, and then on top of that, you have to do a survey of your property. And then you have to go, I have a tree 10 foot recording 10 foot in the area of that add-on to my home, or it could be, I don't know, I didn't see that interpretation, but it could be a garage or some structure. It just keeps talking about, it doesn't have like an interpretation or a footnote. It just keeps talking about any property proposed for development that is less than 1 acre. Then it goes on to say any property proposed for development greater than 1 acre. Then another caption, for any property with a tree canopy. And in this ordinance, they talk about the tree canopy. If I have a tree, say a city tree that's hitting your property, you fall under those guidelines. But also in this ordinance, as I read through it, I didn't see anywhere in here that if you didn't like the decision that you could appeal it to, say, maybe the Board of Works. So all I'm asking is that we send it back to the Plan Commission and air some of this stuff out. Because I truly believe that trees are important, but I don't think that, I think this is a little too overreach for private citizens of Michigan City in trying to get the intent of commercial development or a big development as an apartment complex.
Okay.
So would
Time's
that,
up.
Is that time? Okay. Any comments from the public? Any comments from the public? Any comments from the public? Having no comments from the public, any comments from the council? Councilman Jigas?
Yes, there were a couple of things misstated. We had a workshop on this. This only pertains to large plots of land. Before they are subdivided, you do a tree survey as part of your normal preparation for dividing land to build a subdivision. It does not pertain to private property, and it's really, it was done, workshop several times. I actually attended the workshop when that was done, when the ordinance came into effect. It was done with professionals, including builders. It's not an undue burden, so I really think this ordinance definitely does not need to be changed or looked at. We have plenty of things to work on, the council. Thank you.
Okay, seeing that I am relatively new at this, there was a comment from the public, but it, I hadn't opened my box up, so I am. Would I have to get a unanimous vote on this to allow us to go back? I'm going to ask to suspend the rules and allow the comment from the public. Got 2 comments coming in. Any objections? Okay, without objection, I will read the comment, and Caleb will shoot. Caleb, can you put Ms. Arnett on? Or would you like to just type it in?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yes.
All right, thank you for allowing me to make a public comment. This is Jessica Leslie Arnett. I live at 320 East Homer Street. Some of you may not know, most of you probably do, but I've resigned as the city forester in order to return to undergraduate teaching. So it is in the role of a Michigan City resident and a taxpayer that I'd like to make a statement on the section of the zoning ordinance in question. I have a prepared statement, so this won't take too much of your time, and I appreciate you allowing me to do so. First, I'd like to address some confusion circulating now and then also emanating from the previous council meeting about what this ordinance actually does and what it does not do. First, I believe Councilman Paul Prespolinski is trying to make a claim that the ordinance constitutes a regulatory taking. I assure you that it does not. In short, to establish a regulatory taking in a court of law, you have to establish certain criteria, namely that the regulation in question denies the property owner all viable economic value of the land, or their rights and abilities to enjoy their land are infringed upon without due process. For example, if I wanted to buy a parcel of land in a neighborhood with the goal of establishing a bowling alley as my choice of business, and the zoning code prohibits that, that's not a regulatory taking. The property is still economically viable, and its total value can still be derived in another manner. This particular ordinance, by requiring contractors who choose to remove trees that have been classified as protected to replace them by certain standards, is not a regulatory taking and does not affect the economic viability of the property. Additionally, if you'll look at the general zoning code, the permitting and appeals process for construction projects provides ample due process for this particular section of the ordinance. Also, the allegations that this would apply to people's private homes is not accurate at all. If you look at section 3B, that's where it specifically designates unsubdivided land as the only applicable location for this ordinance. So I can do what I want to trees on my property. Mr. Paul Prespolinski can do what he would like to trees on his property. Anybody can. This is in the interest of large forested unsubdivided lots. And that's where I turn to secondly, I think it's really important to talk about what this ordinance actually does do. This ordinance represents the will of the people of Michigan City, as this was a citizen-driven initiative to determine what kind of place they want Michigan City to be for all people who live, work, and play here. It is about Michigan City residents taking care of one another and acting as stewards for the things that we hold dear, while advocating for growth, development, and progress. Trees, even those on private property, are what's known as a public good. The trees on my property benefit my neighbors as much as they do me. They keep our electric bills low, they keep our basements from flooding, and they reduce stormwater treatment costs that we all shoulder here as residents. This ordinance also represents Michigan City government protecting Michigan City residents from developments who would run ripshod over our landscapes and our natural resources in pursuit of a quick dollar, and then leave us to shoulder the costs of restoration and recovery. This ordinance promotes the kind of development Michigan City residents want and need: thoughtful development, conscientious development, and sustainable development. The kind of development that enhances Michigan City's value as a great place to call home. Thank you all.
Thank you very much for that public comment. Well, I think Skylar York wanted to chime in, but he was having a problem. Is that fixed right now? Skylar? No, look like the problem still persists. Any other comments from the council? Councilman Don Prespolinski?
Just one comment for, we're saying that none of this applies to private property. But on page 3-10 of this ordinance, under section D, subsection 1, applicability, it says these standards apply to any private property located within the city limits as of December 31st, 2018. So this does apply to private properties. If you want to cut down, the way I understand, if you want to cut down a tree in your yard, like I have a gigantic oak tree in my backyard, if I want to cut that tree down, I have to call the city forester to my house to look at that tree to determine whether I can cut that tree down. Now, if I'm wrong, someone can correct me, but that's the way I interpret this. So I'm not for as far as subdivisions go, as far as contractors go, as far as development, I believe in all the rules and regulations in here that are in this ordinance. But as far as private citizens, I don't know if the city needs to come on my property to determine, and if that's the correct interpretation, that's why I would like to see at least that portion go back to the planning commission. Let them take a look at it and see what they think. And if they interpret it that way, then maybe it needs to be changed. If they don't interpret it that way and just say, no, that's not what it means, then let's put it in here correctly the way it's supposed to be stated so people know exactly what this means. Talking to some city employees, when they have issues with trees, and they call the forester because they don't understand this whole ordinance. There's a lot to be here. So I'm just saying, I send it back to the planning commission, let them check out these few items. Now, I'm not saying go through this whole ordinance. I don't think the whole ordinance needs to be redone, but just a few subjects and let them look at it. And first of all, we're going to have to wait till a new forester is hired before we send it on back to the planning commission so that we can get their professional input from it. Thank you.
Councilman Fitzpatrick.
This is, I guess, just a general question in regards to the ordinance itself. If there's a section where there should be a necessary change, why are we sending it back to the planning commission when we could just amend the ordinance ourselves? Why do we need a resolution to send it to them when we have the authority to just change it? Thank you.
Can I answer that?
Any other? That'll be the closing comment, if that's what we want to do.
That'll be my closing comment.
Okay. Are there any other? Well, yeah. Let's let everybody speak here. Councilman Deitch.
I believe though existing single family homes are exempt in the ordinance. So if you have an existing single family home, that's an exemption. So I'm not sure. I just think that if we can ask Mr. York to go back through it. I don't think we need a resolution for it, but I know that again, a lot of time and effort was spent on this, and I think it's a good one. But if we need to amend it, I mean, let's do that. But again, single family existing single family homes are exempted from this from that section.
Any other comments before we go to the closing comments? Councilman Don President.
Can I go, Mr. President?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. With Councilwoman Deitch saying that single family homes are exempt from this, can you tell me where in the ordinance they're exempt? If that's the case, if that's the case,
maybe we should take this back to committee.
I will withdraw my concerns, because that's what my concern is single family homes and the power that the city would have over the homeowner.
I can actually speak to that. If you look under the exemptions section in
what page is that on?
It's on
Caleb, can you mute everybody here? We're going to go back to order. If we're going to have another session like we had before, we're going to get to the vote here. We just had a lengthy discussion of this in committee, and if we have other information we still need to uncover before we can vote, maybe we should go back to committee and make the motion. Now, is there anything in closing? Because we've had our public comment, we've had each of us speak twice to this issue, and we're just not going to continue to allow questions over and over. Councilwoman Jiggis.
Thank you. In the chat, it says Section 3B exemptions. That's where the single family homes are. It's unfortunate that we can't have Skylar update us, but we did have that meeting. I thought that was clear.
Thank you. Councilman Don President, you're muted.
I got it. Okay,
There we go.
I hit the right button. I just want to make a comment that anyone that would like to speak, address the chair first, rather than just hop in and continue their conversation. I think that that's what your directions were when you sent your letter out, and I think that's the spirit of it, that if someone wants to talk, they have to address the chair and keep things in order.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you, Mr. President. I'm done.
Thank you, sir. Closing comments, Mr. Paul Prespolinski, Councilman?
Well, with that, I would like to say that in section two, protected trees and tree canopies, you get down to a reference on exemptions, and it talks about clearing for property lines and stuff like that. But then it goes down to section B, and it says any protected trees or areas of tree canopy located on property on which construction of a single family, two-family residential dwelling units have been completed, or that portion of a lot within an approved subdivision plat necessary for construction with a permit not to exceed 10 feet. So my property, which I lived on a approved plat, all these homes are on approved plats. So this is what I believe a misnomer in the ordinance, and just to send it back to the commission so we can get these things straightened out. I'm not against tree preservation, and I think that I'm being attacked by that, and that's a misnomer. I have partaken in several tree plantings at different camps, and that's far be it from the truth, as I think this is a portion of the ordinance that has overreach, and that I can see commercial development being regulated, but I think that there's too much on the homeowners, and I think that I pointed it out enough. So I would hope that you would support it to go back to the Plan Commission, and this is part of the process, is that you have to ask the Plan Commission to reconsider. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Okay, do we have a motion?
I so moved to adopt.
Second?
Second.
Motion to approve by Paul Prespolinski and a second by Councilman Don Prespolinski. Ms. Nyla, will you take the vote?
Mr. Fitzpatrick?
Nay.
Mr. Matt?
Nay.
Ms. Deitch?
Nay.
Mr. Don Prespolinski?
Aye.
Mr. Simmons?
Nay.
Ms. Zegas?
Nay.
Mr. Paul Prespolinski?
Aye.
Ms. Tillman?
Nay.
And Mr. Dabney.
Nay.
We have 2 in favor and 7 opposed. It fails.
Okay, Ms. Nyla, will you please read the first ordinance on first reading by title only?
An ordinance on first reading by title only, approving additional appropriation in the budget of the police department of the general fund to provide funding for leasing of 10 police vehicles. And this is introduced by Mr. Simmons.
And does the author have anything to add to this evening?
Yes, just for the council's information, the mayor did approve this ordinance. This lease is for 2 years for 10 2021 police package Dodge Chargers V6 all-wheel drive to outfit our detectives. The current 2019 Chargers owned by the city will be distributed to the patrol division. and that the reason being they can only outfit the vehicles there's a limit on how much of they can outfit new vehicles as far as putting lights, the lights and all that on it, because they are leased vehicles. There is a limited mileage. The mileage limit is 15,000 miles per year. On average, the detectives stay well under 10,000 per year. Currently, not counting pool cars used when vehicles are being maintenance, there are 10 vehicles short. The officer encountered 27 accidents throughout the past year. There were disciplinary action taken on those officers who were negligent. Out of the 27 accidents this year, 8 accidents were determined to be the officer's fault with the accident review board. One in March 1st, received a counseling slip. April the 2nd, there was a counseling slip. May the 1st, there was another counseling slip. June 1st, letter reprimand. July the 1st, suspension with required remedial training. October the 1st, a counseling slip. December the 1st, suspension with required remedial training. Both Chief Campbell and Assistant Chief Cooney was supposed to be here for questions. And this is as far as I go with the info.
Okay, are there any comments from the public? Any comments from the public? Any comments from the public? Seeing there's no comments from the public, any comments from the council?
Oh, sorry, one second.
Rodriguez?
There are
Oh, you have,
comments
okay,
from the public.
okay. I didn't see any. I know that hand has to be, we're still on comments.
Oh,
from the public.
public
He says he's got some, they're just not showing up here with the raised hand. Thank you, Caleb. Caleb, you're doing a great job.
Under the questions and answers.
I think he's trying to put them on, right? Or Caleb, are you trying to, oh, it's just by typing. Okay, the question is by Lee.
Sorry, go ahead.
Say something, Caleb. I'm going to just read the question. Is that what you were waiting on, Caleb?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Question, public question by Rodney Joseph McCormick. By leasing new police vehicles, how will that make our community safer and, more importantly, solve the murder cases? It's time for MCPD to spend time and money on repairing the relationship with the community that was destroyed by the last administration. People don't trust the police. Community is always the best asset in crimes being solved locally. Any other public comment? Was that the only one? I think that was
We
it.
have Chief Campbell here.
Okay. Chief Campbell, did you have a comment?
First of all, I'd like to say good evening to all the council members. Just to let you know that Chief Cooney and I are here to answer any questions. We're very appreciative for Councilman Simmons for bringing this forth, and thankful for the Mayor, Yvonne Hoffmaster, for all their help in helping us to get what we absolutely need and making sure that we were fiscally responsible. Are there any questions for me?
Councilman Fitzpatrick.
One question I did have is there a plan to lease more vehicles after the lease of these end? And also, is there additional insurance costs that will be incurred by leasing these vehicles versus purchasing them?
Okay, to answer your first question, one of the things that we were trying to do is be fiscally responsible, and the best way to get what we needed by spending the least amount of money. And that's why we went with the lease program to start off with. This lease program will get us to where we need to be. One of the drawbacks to the lease program is that we cannot fully outfit them and put them on the patrol division. So our goal is to take these vehicles and give them to our detectives, which will encumber low mileage. And also we can take our current vehicles and filter them, take the detective bureau, the current detective bureau vehicles that we own, and filter them into the patrol division just to get up to speed. And at another time, we would come back and request more vehicles, but this would get us up to speed at this point. Also, just want to remind the council that you had previously approved $450,000 for us to get vehicles, but because of the downward spiral in the finances of the city, we were unable to get that. And since I've been the chief in 2019, we have received no new vehicles. And this was our way of trying to get up to speed using the lease program to get us where we need to be.
Next question, was it Councilman Don Prespolinski?
Yeah. Hi, Chief. Good evening.
Hello, sir. How are you?
Just fine, just fine. A couple questions. Number one, with the amount of accidents that took place last year, and I don't want to expound on them all, but I have a concern. It went from 16 to 27, and we totaled out, I believe, 3 cars, according to Yvonne, City Controller Hoffmaster. What is the department doing in trying to stop the increase in wrecked police cars? I mean, to me, that's the big cost here, and that's the underlying root cause of why we have to go out and buy 10 squad cars. What is the police department doing about that?
Well, let me say this to you, sir. If you look at the past 4 years, the average number of vehicles that get in accidents is actually 23.5. In 2018, there were actually 30 accidents, and this last year we had 27. But keep in mind, out of those 27 accidents, only 8 of them were determined to be our fault. And we have a very young department at this time, and we're trying to get them ready for the future. And I think it's just something that we have to deal with being in the police department. What the statistics you see is something that normally happens. Understand that those officers that were found at fault, the ones, some of them received remedial training, 2 of them received remedial training, 4 of them received counseling, and the others, it was just their first accident or something. It was something minor that they did, and they just received counseling slips. So
okay,
the question.
If I may ask, what's a counseling slip? What does that mean?
That's where a supervisor basically sits down with them. They talk about what happened and talk about the things that they can do better. They give them a period of time where they watch their activity to see if there's improvement. And if they see improvement, then that's the end of that.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks for that clarification. You know, and I know that Chief Cooney and I discussed this, that, you know, when the bottom line is here is that we have to spend more money than we want to. The city's spending more money, and I know that we could do and put that money elsewhere in the form of raises, benefits, and things like that. So that's always, I don't know, a motivator to me. That's the way I was taught where I worked at. So maybe that could be drilled down to some of these young officers that are coming on, that they need to just slow down a little bit and take their time in doing what they're doing and be careful. Because it's also their life that's involved with this, this also. Then, okay, so with the increase or with the Rex, has that.
May I speak to what you just said,
You may
sir?
be able to answer this.
May I speak to what you just said?
Sure.
One of the things that's very important with the police department because of the wear and tear on these vehicles is that we have a consistent fleet rotation, and it's like an ecology. We've been doing this for years and years and years, and the mileage that you put on causes wear and tear on the vehicles. And if you don't replace them periodically, what you're going to end up doing is spending more money repairing them than you would if you didn't have new vehicles. So the COVID and the financial situation disrupted that ecology, and we have been found short. So that's my explanation for that. The fleet rotation is very, very important.
Okay, and Chief, I understand that wholeheartedly. Because when Mark Swisek was the chief, and this was probably about, I don't know, 8 or 9 years ago when I first got on the council, they wanted 14 new cars that year. And myself, Mr. Perry, and Councilman Beatrice, we said, we'll line up all the cars that you want to get rid of, and we'll come down and we'll take a look at them. And we came down and we took a look at them. And out of 14 cars, they wound up buying 8 new cars because the other ones they could still keep using. And a lot of those LTVs or those Crown Vics, the ones that are left were probably still there at that time. So I understand what you're talking about, fleet rotation and the necessity to take care of them. But also my concern is that, we don't get into accidents and that these officers don't put themselves in peril and get into the accident. So just one more question, and that deals with
Councilman Don President, let's let some other council people get in because that's like.
Okay, well, I just have one more.
Okay, because in the future, let's remember let's get everybody around to participate, not just one person.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay,
I don't think my
go ahead
5
and finish, but just please,
Is my 5 minutes up yet?
Well, if you include the back and forth.
Yes,
if you include the back and forth, it's up. Yeah.
Anyway, one more question, Chief. And has our insurance rates gone up since we've had this amount of accidents this year?
I'll let Ms. Hoffmaster answer that question. She's better equipped than I am.
Yvonne?
Mr. President, do you want me to answer?
Pardon?
Do you want me to answer?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay. No, we have not seen a significant increase in our insurance due to the number of accidents with the vehicles. It's just the standard 2, 3, 4% increase that we see in a normal year.
Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Hoffman. Councilwoman Tillman.
Okay, then you can come back. It's a significant question that I got to ask.
Right, but the others also have questions. Councilman Tracy Tillman.
This could be addressed to Ms. Hoffmaster, and my question is, so the amount that's being requested, and with the total vehicles that have been totaled out and paid back from the insurance, is that dollar amount subtracted from this $100,000 that they're requesting for the 10 leased vehicles?
No, it is not. The insurance money that we received on the 3 totaled vehicles is just sitting in the fund. It is not appropriated anywhere. This request is asking to appropriate the money to fund this contract.
But could not those funds be appropriated and applied to this?
Mm-hmm.
To reduce some of the cost?
Right.
Well, we still need to appropriate $110,500 for this contract.
This sounds like this may need to go to committee if we've got this many questions on this first reading.
Actually,
go ahead, Ms. Tillman.
I'm sorry. I agree with you, Mr. Councilman Mack, that should go to a committee, being on the, actually, for the finance committee to also, be involved with this, because I'm just curious, why wasn't the contract, negotiated and presented, with the reducing the amount credited from the insurance?
Councilman.
The insurance money didn't come from the Chrysler dealer.
Right, I understand that, but the funds are just sitting there. So if this is the total amount that you're asking to lease these vehicles, is there a way? Well, again, this is something that can be discussed.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Councilman Simmons, are you the liaison for that committee, right? Are you the?
Yes, safety, yes.
Yeah, okay. That sounds like a committee to do that. Could you set that up for us at some time? Councilman Fitzpatrick,
Sure.
point of order.
Yeah, and this was definitely something that I wanted to put in front of the finance committee so we can get these questions asked. Because if there is an offset, then that would definitely impact the decisions that we have to make. If we're only paying, let's say, 75,000 versus the whole 100, because it's still a refund that went back to the general fund, then I think that's information we should apply to the decision we have to make. So that would definitely be on the agenda for the next finance committee.
Councilwoman,
I don't know if we have to move to do it or just discuss it, though. I don't think so.
You had a point of order?
I just want to confirm, because you asked Councilman Simmons for his committee. It's a financial matter. I didn't know if you wanted it to go to public health and safety. I'm the chair of that, but I just recommend it go to finance instead, versus, because we're talking about a refund for the insurance payment that went back to the general fund, because it wasn't a refund from the Chrysler dealership. It's a refund from the insurance company that pushed it into the general fund. So it's there. So I just think it's a financial matter versus.
So do we have a motion to
safety matter? Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
I
Is
make
there
a
motion to move it? We have
I
a
make a
motion
motion
by.
to move this to the to committee for and the finance committee.
Point of order.
Point of order. Mr. President. Okay, Mr. President, all you have to do is assign it to the committee.
Yes.
We don't need to take a vote. We don't need motions. All you have to say is that's going to the finance committee and it goes to the finance committee. Or whatever committee you want, it's up to you.
Yes.
10 minutes ago. Okay, it's going to go to the finance committee. Councilman Fitzpatrick, you set that up.
Yeah, I'll get that scheduled. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. Okay, Ms. Nyla, where we at here? Budget for the police department. Can you read our second ordinance on first reading by title only?
Okay. An ordinance on first reading by title only, amending section 70-101A in division 3 of chapter 70 of Michigan City Municipal Code regarding the Police Merit Commission to add the requirement that commissioners undergo a criminal background check and drug screen. And this is introduced by Mr. Paul Prespolinski and Mr. Don Prespolinski.
And does the author have anything to add to this evening? You're on mute, Paul.
You're muted.
Yes, you're muted.
I'm introducing this ordinance because of all the things that were said at the last meeting, because I don't want to I think that the commission needs to have this item carried out by us, and that I'm going to be withdrawing I'm going to be taking the other ordinance off the table tonight through parliamentary procedure. Since I'm the author, I can do that, I believe. But no, I think this is a good thing to do, and that we The only thing I can say is that should have been done a long time ago. And the commissioners should have to live up to a high standard, just as they want the police officers to live up to a high standard. Thank you.
Okay, does the public have any comments? Any comments from the public?
Rodney McCormick, can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead, Rodney.
Yeah, it's Rodney McCormick, 617 Union Street. I think this is a great idea, but I would like to see it go to every board in the city and not just the police commission, especially the drug screening part. Everybody should take drug tests, and it should be done because there's too much stuff going on and we need to clean it up. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McCormick. Is there any other public comments? Any comments from the public? Any other comments from the public? Public comments are now closed. Any comments from the council? Councilman Don Prespolinski.
Mr. President, I just want to reiterate what Councilman Paul Prespolinski said, and I'm sure we all agree upon it, that we should have the police commissioners live up to the same standards that we do the chief of police, all the way down to the private police officer. Everyone should be on that commission, should not have any background issues, should not be involved with drugs or anything like that. So I totally stand behind this, and I hope the council members do too, just to show to the public that we are serious about how we want to run the departments and the expectations that us as council members want of the people that work for the city and are appointed to boards. Thank you.
Any other council comments? Any other council comments? Seeing that there's none, this ordinance will be held over on second reading at the February 16th council meeting. Ms. Nyla, will you please read our third ordinance on first reading by title only?
An ordinance on first reading by title only, approving additional appropriation in the budget of the Recreation Department of the Park Fund to provide additional funding for lifeguards. And this is introduced by Don Prespolinski, co-sponsored by Mr. Dabney and Ms. Jagus.
And does the author have anything to add to this?
Mr. President, the purpose of this is to appropriate the funding so that we can hire lifeguards to be at the same pay level as other lifeguards in the area. I think there's 5 cities that was used as an example, and our lifeguards, I don't know, they're like at 10, let's just say use $10 an hour, where other lifeguards are making $15, $16, $17 an hour. And that's the thrust of it, is to entice and invite these other people that may be good candidates to be lifeguards here in Michigan City. Bottom line.
Okay, any comments from the public? Any public comments? Any public comments? Public comments are closed. Any comments from the council? Councilwoman Tracy Tillman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would be in agreement with this ordinance if it could be revised to indicate the levels as far as seasonal lifeguard, a seasonal assistant head lifeguard, and a seasonal head lifeguard. Why is there a hierarchy as far as lifeguards? Should they not all be reported to Ms. Eason? And as far as the pay scale of $16 across the board.
Okay, was that your comment?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. Any other council comments? Any other comments from the council? Any, Councilman Fitzpatrick? Yes.
Yeah, I kind of want to echo Councilmember Tillman's sentiment about the hierarchy of pay scale. I guess it's more a reference to the next ordinance, but it seems like this would have to be amended to reference that change. I don't understand why the lifeguards would need to supervise themselves when they're already superintendents to the park department that they would work under. So I just didn't understand the need for there to be a supervisor or so, or the levels of the lifeguard to be different. I know maybe experience or something would give one higher over other, but I think that would have to be shown to be necessary other than just showing up and getting a supervisor position that didn't even exist prior to right now or wasn't budgeted previously. Thank you.
Okay, Councilman Dabney.
Yeah, and I understand the levels of the seasonal lifeguards and how they stagger up because when they're out there on the weekends and the superintendent or the assistant superintendent are not available, there is somebody that's going to be in charge out there in the lifeguard. So you have one lifeguard who's in charge of everybody else that's on staff at that time. So this is why you're going to have this hierarchy of one who's going to be, out there supervising the other lifeguards. If an event happens out there and somebody were to drown, they're going to look at one person who's the head of that crew, who would be the head lifeguard, who's going to direct them how to get into that water or what they're going to do. Are they going to form a human chain? Are they going to do other things? So there will be somebody in charge of those lifeguards. So thus the hierarchy in pay.
Councilwoman Tillman?
Thank you, Chair. So with the hierarchy of the lifeguards, then is it being said that all three will be working at the same time and on the same day, same shifts? So who will free up or relieve these individuals scheduling wise? Or will it only be one lifeguard per day and they're working in rotations?
Is that a question for me to address?
Yeah, Councilwoman Nelson?
Can this be referred to the Park and Rec Committee?
Let's just refer.
I think there's a lot of questions. I support the having lifeguards wholeheartedly, and would like to be a co-sponsor of the ordinance. But I do think that we need to clear up, how that's going to work from the Park Department. And I'm not sure if we received anything. I saw some emails from the Park Department, but I didn't get a chance to go through all of them. So I'm not sure if that was included in the explanation for that, but maybe we can just refer it to the Park Committee, Mr. President.
Okay, no, I was frozen. I was out. Caleb just put me back live here. So I missed most of what you said, Angie. It was just frozen. Did Councilman Don Prespolinski?
Yeah, Mr. President, just to address the concerns of the council members. When Shannon and I were talking about this, and Mr. Shin and myself, we never discussed the hierarchy of the lifeguards or why one's going to get, well, I can understand why they would get more depending on their responsibilities, but I'm sure that that'll play into it all, and the park committee will find that out and all the other questions. But yeah, it was never discussed to me. All I saw was the ordinance and the reason behind it, and I let the administration run their lifeguards the way they see fit.
Absolutely. And well, we do have a here, but we're going to just take this to we're going to take it to committee because we may end up that just seems like the place that we need to do that. Councilman Dabney?
Just real quick, there is a message that just came in from Shannon Eason. She says the hierarchy was explained in the information provided to the council. There has to be someone in charge to prepare schedules and manage the team, et cetera. That's the hierarchy.
Exactly what you said. And we still have questions. So let's refer that value. You make the arrangements to have this discussed in the committee.
Yes, I can do that.
Thank you. All righty. Next item of business, Ms. Nyla, will you please read our fifth ordinance on first reading by title only?
An ordinance on first reading by title only, amending ordinance number 4549, commonly known as the 2021 salary ordinance, to increase the hourly rate of pay for lifeguards in the park department. And this is introduced by Mr. Don Prespolinski, Mr. Dabney, and Ms. Jacobs.
That's the one we just did, right?
This here's the backup to that. This is the ordinance that'll.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, sorry, Mr. President.
I'm
just saying
sorry.
that, the first one we did was the appropriation of the 36,000. This one here will approve the rate increases for the different positions. Okay, so as you start out, you have the seasonal lifeguard, what they're making now, 1071 to 1162. Seasonal assistant head lifeguard, 1173 to 1267. And the seasonal head lifeguard from 1250 to 1347. And then you go down to the next two whereases, and you'll see what that $5 an hour is going to raise their hourly pay up to, where it comes into $36,260, the previous ordinance that we were talking about. Yeah.
Any comments from the public? Comments from the public? Can we let Shannon Eason in? She wants to speak. Caleb?
Oh, yes, 1 second. I'm looking for her name. Oh, there she is.
Are you there? I think you're still on mute though. There we go.
I am here. Good evening.
Alrighty.
Also.
Good evening.
So I have just a few comments on the lifeguards. It was unfortunate that we didn't have guards in 2020. And the general public thought that was because of COVID and budget cuts and the tax situation we were in. It was not that. We had 2 applicants for our guard team in 2020. Only 1 was certified. To run a successful lifeguard team, we have to have 14 lifeguards. So if you read through the documents I sent you, we reached out to the YMCA, we reached out to the school systems, all of their swim teams. No one is interested anymore. So the problem becomes we don't have bodies to fill the positions, and it has nothing to do with COVID. So to entice applicants, I think we need to raise our fees. That's what we're asked, or not fees, I'm sorry, wages. That's what we need to entice young people to apply for these jobs. We have to compete with the national park, which is paying $18 an hour at their top wage. So that's what I'm asking for tonight is if this city wants a guarded beach, I think that's what it's going to take.
Thank you very much, Ms. Eason. Thank you very much. In agreement. Any other comments from the public? Any other comments from the public? Any comments from the public? Comments
Yes,
from the
can
council?
you hear me?
Mr. Benjamin. Thank you. You jumped in there. Gotcha.
Yes, how are you? My name is Dave Benjamin. I'm the co-founder and executive director of the Great Lakes Surf Rescue Project. I commend you for considering raising the wages for lifeguards. It does definitely makes lifeguarding more attractive. I wanted to add on to what there was a comment of a lack of applicants. I mean, it was a tough year with it being coronavirus. I understand the recruiting may have gone to the wayside. From what I saw in the media from last year was that there was a press release was put out last February, and then with coronavirus, it kind of fell to the wayside, which is completely understandable. Really, with lifeguarding, it's about recruiting. It's about, picking your team, going to the high schools, going to the colleges, looking for the swim team members, the water polo. You want really strong athletes for this position, and putting the time and effort to have someone who, this is a human resource issue. It's like having a headhunter, having a recruiter is one of the best ways to do it, because it is going to be more competitive, because you have Hammond, Whiting, Gary, Chesterton. You have the national parks in Gary as well, and Michigan City. And then there's also some guards that going up to St. Joseph or New Buffalo, Michigan. So there's a lot of competition for it, and raising the wage would be a prime opportune way to attract more people. And in the same breath, also having someone who's designated as the recruiter. And then going back into like the hierarchy of lifeguards, it's like a police department. It's like a fire department, where you have your officers, your sergeant, lieutenants, captain, and your chief. For a crew of 14, having a supervisor and having 2 top captains and 12, your straight wage lifeguards with possible, years of experience is the hierarchy of it, why there's a need for it. And then, if an incident happens on the beach, it shouldn't be your low-level first year, second year lifeguard. It should be someone who's trained to speak with the public on whatever your public policy is on how to speak with the media about an incident. It could be, don't give much information that this is an incident that is under review for what has happened and the reports are ongoing, and, a statement may be issued later or not. So that's why you really want to have a supervisor in charge for dealing with the media, dealing with crowd control, who's navigating the police and the fire and the Coast Guard if there's a major search going on. So thank you for your time. I greatly appreciate it, and great work.
Yeah, good comments.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lynn. It's great to hear a professional opinion on this issue. Any comments from the council? Councilman Fitzpatrick.
A couple questions based off the comments we just heard. So first, let me preface this by I'm all for lifeguards. I'm all for paying lifeguards what they worth, so we're able to attract the appropriate talent to do the job. One of the things I still wanted to ask is this $36,000 that we're talking about to be appropriated for this. Is that going to cover 14 lifeguards plus the 3 supervisors, or is it starting off with the 3 and then hoping to get the other 11 or so? And second, I wanted to comment on the fact that it's a thing around this city that there's always too many chiefs and not enough Indians. And that goes across all of the departments. You have a supervisor or someone that's in charge, and then they have an assistant, and then that assistant has an assistant, and then that assistant has a secretary. And you got 8 people telling 2 people what to do. So is that going to be the new situation here at with the lifeguards, or is that just something we should look into getting away from all across the boards?
This Councilman Jigas? Councilwoman Jigas?
It's additional appropriation. So whatever they had set aside for lifeguards, you have to have more money because we're going to pay them at a higher rate than what was budgeted. That's my understanding.
Just pay increases.
No.
Any other council comments? Councilman Don Presbyterian?
Yeah, as far as the total amount, of lifeguards we have here is you have one head lifeguard, you have 2 assistant lifeguards, and you have 11 lifeguards. So there's a total of 14, lifeguards. And let me just go, I just want to run through this pay scale real quick, because I don't know if everybody has that with them, but I just want everybody to know exactly what these people are making and what they're going to be making, or what they're making right now. So Michigan City lifeguards, this is a 2021 hourly wage. Michigan City lifeguards right now are making from $10.71 to $11.62. The Whiting lifeguards make $10.46. New Buffalo make $14 to $16. The Gary lifeguards, they make $8.25 to $10 an hour. Here's where the big push is at, besides New Buffalo, is the Dunes National Park. They pay their lifeguards $16.50 up to $18.50. So that's what we're trying to do, is attract those people from going over there to staying right here in their hometown and being lifeguards right here. So, and we want lifeguards down on the beach. I know we all do. The public wants it. And to me, this is the best way to begin the process of getting people involved in being lifeguards. The training and the recruiting and all that, that's up, to somebody else. But at least we can do this as our part to try to ensure to get lifeguards on the beach.
Caleb, could you allow Shannon to address that real quick? It's nice to have a professional here.
Point of order.
Thank you, President Matt. I would just like
to ask a question.
That Dave that just spoke, he lost his son in Michigan City, an athlete, a strong swimmer. And Dave Benjamin has founded a coalition, not only in Michigan City, but on the entire southern shore of Lake Michigan, to promote safety. He has brought safety education into our schools. Jeremy Keenitz worked closely with him, as did Purdue, IU. There's a huge coalition out there to promote safety. That's where our life rings came from on the pier. That's where our signage came from.
Okay, well, thank you. I thought we were going to answer. Are there any other council comments? Because if we're going to ask more questions, we can just send it to committee since we're going there anyway. Any other council comments?
I have a question.
Ms. Knight.
Not council, but I do.
Mm-hmm.
Are they both going to committee? Are they going to finance? Are they going to park? Angie, do you want on one or both of them as a co-sponsor?
Oh, just the one that I asked for.
The first one, but we were talking about the second one. Thank you.
Okay. No other comments? This ordinance will be held over on second reading. Ms. Nyla, will you please read our fifth ordinance on first reading by title only?
An ordinance on first reading by title only, approving additional appropriation in the budget of the Riverboat Fund to provide funding for sidewalks. And this is introduced by Mr. Don Prespolinski, Mr. Paul Prespolinski, and Mr. Fitzpatrick.
Does the author have anything?
I brought this idea up, I don't know, approximately a month ago when we were all talking about streets and sidewalks, and I thought it'd be a good idea that possibly we could help Jeff Rideout and get a line item established with funding in it for the repairs. I went and I spoke to the mayor about it, and he was for it. Initially asked for a little bit more, but the city controller said that $100,000 would be a good start. So that's where we're at with this. And one thing that I would like to make, Mr. President, at this time is an author's amendment by substitution, because this ordinance, if the amendment passes, none of these funds can be used in a TIF district. All these funds are going to be used outside the TIF districts. The TIF districts can take care of the funding to repair their sidewalks. This here will go for the rest of the city. So didn't get time to get it typed into the ordinance. So I'm asking to make an amendment by substitution that we put in here that the funds not to be used in TIF districts. That's what the wording will be. Funds not to be used in TIF districts.
And does this need a vote, Ms. Nally?
Yes.
This does need a vote?
I second it.
Okay.
Wait a
Motion
minute.
approved.
I don't believe you need to, he's an author.
Yeah, I'm making that author's amendment by substitution.
Right. You don't need a motion.
Okay.
If
Yes, ma'am, Ms. Tillman.
if I may, Mr. Chair, Ms. Nyla, I would like to be added as a co-sponsor.
Thank you.
Any comments from the public? Any comments from the public? There's one there. Any comments from the public? Public comments are closed. Any comments from the council? Ms. Deitch?
Yes, I would like to be added as co-sponsor as well.
Thank you.
Any other comments from the council? Councilman Paul Prespolinski.
If I may, I'm going to try to give you this picture. You might not be able to see it that well, but that was my sidewalk by my home from 1996 in the front page of the News Dispatch when we were talking about sidewalk repairs. So I have a little history in this, and I appreciate the fact that Don did go on get this money appropriated. We had talked about it prior to, but the fact of the matter is there are so many sidewalks in the city that are still in need of repair, not just the corners, not just the driveways, the ramps that are not ADA accessible, they don't meet the grade. There's many, many things, and we definitely need to move forward on this, and I'm glad to see that we have something on the table. There was a program started voluntarily by the mayor and the planning department, and it was funded through the planning department when I was on the city council before, and it was a 50-50 mix, and had it for years, and then they started doing major projects, and the sidewalks were included in them, and a lot of these street projects that were done through the riverboat monies. But then in the last 15 years, it kind of fell by the wayside, and I think that in the TIF districts as an instrument of financing can do a lot by themselves. But we have to be concerned about the neighborhoods, what's going on in the neighborhoods. And that's why I think this is so important, just like I talked about road repairs in the neighborhoods. So I'm glad that we can move this forward. Thank you.
Councilman Dabney.
I'd like to be added as a co-sponsor, but I would like to make a correction to that there are neighborhoods, quote unquote, within the TIF district. But I understand the purpose of the ordinance to say that we can't use any of these funds for in the TIF district. I understand the point to be made, but there are neighborhoods in the TIF district. And I also want to say we're putting 100,000 out there now. Do we have any idea when we'll start to try to use funds for sidewalk, because at this time, I'm sure all 9 of us are going to have an idea of where we can put a sidewalk. So if you divide 100,000 by 9, that's what, less than 10 grand for a sidewalk. I don't know how much sidewalk I can get. So are we going to try to build this to a certain level before we start to issue funds out for sidewalks, or would we come together to agree to, do certain people's more, or give them more money to do some things? And just a question.
Councilwoman Angie Dice.
Oh, what I was going to say is I agree with the author's amendment because that's one of the things that we're talking about, that we can create something very similar to what Councilman Don Prisbalinski has put forth in the TIF, to set up a separate fund for sidewalks as well in those districts. Now that Councilman Dabney brought that up. So I'm glad that Councilman Don Prisbalinski went forth and brought this forward. Now we need to do the same within the TIF districts and setting up a fund that's specifically set aside for sidewalks in the TIFs as well. So that will be coming here. We'll be discussing that in the upcoming month with Redevelopment Commission as well. Thank you.
And another thing I just wanted to add before you give your closing comments on this, Mr. Prisbalinski, that Friday I'm going to send you the invite. I've got a person coming down to give a presentation to myself and Skylar and some invitees on just this issue, but using the youth, almost like the old school programs where we begin to do some things in-house and use it as training opportunities. So building sidewalks, doing things, but not actually having to farm everything out. And he's got a presentation he's going to give us, and I'll send you to the invite to that and see what you think. I haven't seen the entire thing, but it sounds like it's going to be a game changer. Any other? Did you want to close out, Don?
No, I'm done.
Okay, Ms. Nyla, can you read our 6th ordinance on first reading by title only?
An ordinance on first reading by title only, amending provisions of municipal code regarding the council rules of order and procedures. And this is introduced by Ms. Deitch, co-sponsored by Delia and Rumia, Councilman Fitzpatrick and Councilman Mack.
And does the author have anything to add to this evening?
No.
Public comments. Any comments from the public? Any comments from the public? Any comments from the public? Seeing there are no public comments, any comments from the council? Councilwoman Tracy Tillman.
Thank you, Chair Mack. Ms. Nyla, I would like to be added as co-sponsor to this ordinance, please.
All righty.
Any other comments from the council? Councilman Don Prisbalinski.
Thank you, Mr. President. I do have some comments, and just as I did a year ago when this ordinance came on the docket in front of the council, and and at that time I used information that I had from previous councils and where we're at right now with this rule that wants to be changed. To begin with, this rule for sure has been on the council's rules and conduction of a meeting for over 60 years. I know that for a fact. For 60 years. Why it has to be changed now, I don't know. The other thing is that in the past, from 2016, 17, 18, and 19, there were a total of 96 council meetings. In 2020, we had 17, and 4 special meetings for a total of 117 council meetings. And in the same time period, we have passed over 216 ordinances. We've passed over 216 ordinances in the last 5 years on the city council. And out of that 216, there's been 6 ordinances that have come up for objection on having the second and third reading the same night. 6 ordinances out of 216. And there's no proof that the minute amount of objections that have curtailed any work of the council, have set back any major projects in the city of Michigan City, has curtailed any blacktopping that was to take place by the Crossroads project or what have you. And it hasn't caused anyone in the public, out of 30,000 people, any heartache whatsoever. Have I ever received a call from a constituent complaining about, oh, you guys should not have had second and third readings, or there was an objection by a council member that was totally out of line? It's never happened. It's never happened. With the passage of this amendment, the only thing that's going to happen, it's going to tie the hands. Now think about it. Think about it. It's going to tie the hands of a council member that doesn't feel it's right to try to push an ordinance through because someone else thinks it's okay. All it's doing, you're giving away a right that a council member has in order to, if you want to slow down legislation, if you want to get more public input, or if you need to find out more information about an ordinance. Now what you have to do, instead of saying, no, I object to that, you're going to have to try to get 2 other council members to go along with you to object to that. So if the whole council, except for one individual, feels that way, it's out of luck. He's out of luck. He cannot perform his duties as he's elected to by the public of Michigan City. So as I said, the present ordinance is a powerful tool. It gives the council members the option to slow down the passage of an ordinance that a member feels needs more investigation or input. And as I said, this has been a rule for the council to follow over 60 years. And what has perpetrated it to come to this, to do away with it, I don't know. I wish there was an explanation of why this ordinance has even come before us, or this amendment has come before us again. It was voted down last year, but here it comes again. And I don't know why, because possibly a council member last week or 2 weeks ago voted not to have second and third readings when we were reading an ordinance. Well, if that's the way we do business, by coming back with an amendment to stop that kind of activity, then what you're doing is you're hurting yourself, you're hurting your fellow council members by taking that opportunity away. Now, you may think that it's a bunch of huff, but there may come a time when you're sitting on this council, when you're going to say, if you do support this, you're going to say, I wish I had that opportunity to stop what's going on here because I don't think it's right. Thank you.
Any other comments from the council? Any other comments from the council? Councilman Paul Presidenski.
I want to thank Councilman Don Prisbalinski for those, that great amount of information that he shared with everybody and the research and background that he did. And I have to agree that, you know, that's an individual that thing's been on the books long before I was around or any of us, and there's a reason for it. And I wonder myself why this has come back around. It to me, it looks kind of deliberate, but you know, it's like what Don said. If you don't want to have people objecting to something, and like Don said, it only happened 6 times in 260 some meetings. Well, it doesn't seem that it's being abused, but I do believe that that's with everyone's right, just as is my right, it's your right also. And as John said, it might and should be used to get additional information. So I will say that I will not support this. I think that it's deliberate, and I also think that it's not going to speed up anything if that's the excuse that we're going to speed the process up. Well, why do we want to? What do we got to force through? What do we have to force through that we want to speed up the process? And that's what really we want to do is speed up the process. Okay, let's force this legislation through, because I have no doubt that if somebody to get an objection approved is you're going to get a consensus of the council. Thank you.
Any other council comments? Any other council comments? Seeing no other council comments, this will be held over on second reading till the February 16th meeting. Ms. Nyla, will you please read our 7th ordinance on first reading by title only?
An ordinance on first reading by title only, amending ordinance number 4549, commonly known as the 2021 salary ordinance, to add the position of the park maintenance director to the park department. And this is introduced by Mr. Don Prespolinski.
And does the author have anything to add? You're on mute, Don. You're on mute, sir.
Thank you. I don't even know how that happens. I didn't touch a button, and all of a sudden you get muted.
Caleb.
Anyway, if I may, I just want to read a little bit more into the ordinance here, and then I'll get into an explanation that I was given. But anyway, whereas since the passage of the ordinance 4549, the park board reasonably believes a need exists to create the position of park maintenance director within the park department and set the annual salary at $49,668.52. And whereas the common council desires to implement the recommendations of the park board and create the position of park maintenance director. And of course, the controller says there's enough money in there. Anyway, that's the basis of it from the pay standpoint. The explanation I got, and I don't know if Mr. Shin's on the call. If he may, President Mack, if Mr. Shin wants to comment on this ordinance, because my basis is to try to get the money approved for the new position. Mr. Shin has the purpose and the reason for the new position.
Well, sounds good. Mr. Shin?
Yes, this is Ed Shin, Superintendent of the Parks. Thanks for having me. In my proposal, you might have read, I would like to create director position within the maintenance department. I do want to stress that it's a reverting back to having a director. There was a director in the past, and all our other departments have directors, and I would like to propose that position. I feel there's a need for this position. If you reviewed my proposal, I would like to revert back to having a director to ensure efficiency within the department.
Okay.
Council President?
Yes, yes, sir.
Yeah, and just to add on to what Mr. Shin was saying, as far as to pay for this new director's job, they are going to eliminate a seasonal employee and add that monies into the salary. That's where this additional appropriation is coming from, the way I understand it. The other thing is that he said to get this new director's position, before he hires anybody from the outside, he's going to interview anyone that wants to interview for his position from the park department that works there presently.
That's correct. I urge all of the current employees to interview for this position. We currently have 9 full-time employees. We are not adding a position. We are eliminating a foreman position and reinstating a director position. We will still have 9 full-time employees.
Okay. Okay. Any comments from the public? Any comments from the public?
Rodney McCormick again.
Okay, Mr. McCormick.
Yes. Oh, wow. It's crazy to eliminate a job, a full-time job. It just don't seem right. It seemed like the foreman should be the one that should just be given another title and let them keep on working. I hope the city council can probably use some money for redevelopment since they have a lot of it. And then in the northern TIF to probably just get another worker, keep that worker, and plus bring in a director. But this don't smell right, and that's all I want to say about it. Thank you.
That's a
any other comments from the public? Any other public comments? Any other comments from the public? Comments from the council. Councilman Tracy Tillman. Councilwoman Tracy Tillman.
Thank you, Chair Mack. Correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't the city on a hiring freeze still? So we're going to create a position. Are we not then hiring for that position? How are we able to do that?
Any other comments from the Councilman Fitzpatrick? You're on mute there, sir.
Yeah, so I mean, hate to keep ringing the same bell, but here we go, creating another supervisor. So we're going to eliminate a seasonal position, probably somebody that's making minimum wage or not more, to give a supervisor right around $50,000. It just doesn't. It just doesn't seem right. I just want to know, what are the daily tasks of this proposed director's immediate supervisor? What is this director's immediate supervisor's task, and what are the tasks of that supervisor's immediate supervisor? Because it seems like there's a lot of delegating always going on in these departments, and there's no one to delegate to. So it's like you can ride around anywhere in the world. You'll see a couple people on a construction site doing all the work and everyone else standing around smoking or doing whatever else they're doing, while someone else is taking all of the work. And those are usually the lower paid individuals. I would never be in support of this unless there were going to be some pay cuts from some supervisors above this supervisor to offset the cost of hiring this new position versus eliminating a part-time person who's probably been with the city for years, coming back for their, few months of pay. You want to eliminate that individual to give someone else a new position and a new shiny title. If this was just to give an individual within the park department a raise, then just do that. I'd rather it be fashioned that way. It's probably someone already doing this job that's not being compensated for it. So why not just ask for a pay increase for that individual? I remember the last couple of years going through the park department's budget during the budget hearings, and the top is doing really nice when the rest of the people in the park department aren't doing so nice. And this is a culture and a pattern that we need to discontinue doing around this city. I mean, I'm not saying there shouldn't be supervisors and they shouldn't be compensated, but when does it stop with the creation of supervisors and not get to the point of where we have enough support staff that are paid well enough, where we have quality individuals that are able to make the burden on everyone less versus continuously just having someone else in charge? Thank you.
Any other comments from the council? Any other comments from the council? Councilman Paul Prespolinski.
I think that this ought to go to committee, to the finance committee. I think there's been some good questions brought up, and I believe that we need to look at it to see what really is happening here in the department and why it's so inefficient.
I agree. There's questions. Sean, you take that one up. Referring to
I'll add that to the agenda.
Yes, yes. Okay. Alrighty. This next one, 48-hour notice to the media. Ms. Nyla, it's kind of a little off because it says, does the author have anything, but it's kind of blank. What's next up on the docket here?
An ordinance on second reading by title only, amending the zoning map of the city of Michigan City, LaPorte County, Indiana, to rezone property currently owned by MHP1 LLC from R1B to B2. And this is introduced by Mr. Dabney and Mr. Simmons.
And does the author have anything to add to this evening? No. Any public comments? Oh, Mr. Simmons, did you have something to say there? Oh.
Just for public information, this is adding storage sheds, which have been approved by the Planning Commission and Rezoning Commission. And it also is compatible with the city comprehensive plan. The change in zoning will not disrupt or destroy the neighborhood plan.
Thank you, sir. Any comments from the public? Any comments from the public?
Rodney McCormick.
Yes, sir, Mr. McCormick.
Yes. I was at the last meeting, heard about this LLC, so I just did some research trying to look up the people that owned it. And one of the things I just came across real brief, I think you guys, when these LLCs come up, you need to try to find out who the owners are or who involved, because sooner or later, it's going to be a conflict of interest or somebody doing something they don't have no business doing. Because these are put in LLCs, it's hard to find out who are the actual owners. And it just seemed like at any time a conflict of interest could come in get involved with this. So for transparency's sake, I hope that you guys in the future check and see who own these LLCs or find out who names are attached to it. Hopefully it's none of your family members and we won't have no problems. Thank you.
Any other comments from the public? Any other comments from the public? Any other comments from the public? Public comments are now closed. Comments from the council. Any comments from the council? Any comments from the council? Okay, if there is no other comments, this ordinance will be held over on third reading, February 16th council meeting. Ms. Nyla, will you please read our second ordinance on second reading by title only?
An ordinance on second reading by title. An ordinance on second reading by title only, amending section 70-101 and division 3 of chapter 70 of the Michigan City Municipal Code regarding the Police Merit Commission. And this is introduced by Mr. Paul Prespolinski.
And does the author have anything to add this evening?
Yes, according to code, I am the author and I am removing this ordinance from the agenda. Excuse me.
Okay. Is anything we need to do with this, Gail?
You have to ask.
Yeah, point of order, you have to ask any other council members if they want to pick this ordinance up. If they don't, then it's drawn off the table.
Okay. Are there any other council members that would like to pick this ordinance up? Any other councilwoman would like to pick this up? Seeing there are none, it's just removed. There's no vote for this, right?
Right.
Okay. Ms. Nyland, will you please read our first ordinance on third reading by title only?
An ordinance on third reading by title only, approving additional appropriation in the budget of the Motor Vehicle Highway Restricted Fund to provide funding for the city's local match and unforeseen contingencies for the Community Crossing Local Roads and Bridges Matching Grant Project for 2021. And this is introduced by Ms. Jacobs.
And does the author have anything to say?
Yes, I'm just reminding everybody that we have already appropriated the funds for this in our resolution. And this is just so that we can make the proper transfer from the Motor Vehicle Restricted Fund so that the Streets Department can start working on this and the grant can go on so we don't lose a grant.
Okay. Any comments from the public? Any comments from the public?
Rodney McCormick again.
Yes.
Yes. I want to first of all thank Don Prespolinski and Paul for bringing it to my attention. I live over here in the TIF district. I didn't know I lived in the TIF and part of redevelopment and I was at the workshop earlier today and they've been collecting money over here since 1985. I just want to say that it's very sad that on this side of the railroad tracks, we in the Black community, we all Black over here in Canada, we haven't received a dime of that TIF money. We haven't seen one nickel spent in my neighborhood, not one. I've been trying to get houses torn down. I've been trying to get these streets redone over here. They're going to finally get redone, but redevelopment should be doing this stuff over here for us, not out of the general fund, because there's other streets in this neighborhood or in this city that needs to be done just as bad as mine. And I didn't even know King Drive is also part of the TIF district. There's things that need to be done. Redevelopment needs to get off their behind, give up that money, and quit being the double standard. We in the Black community, we want our neighborhood to look good too. And what I heard today at that workshop, it hurt me to my heart to know that all the money that's in that Northern TIF been going into other things like out on the beach, Sheridan Beach area. Not one dime has been put into Canada, and that's not right. I'm offended, and every one of y'all up there should be upset with what's going on in our community. They have the money, they need to get off of it, and they need to do the right thing. Thank you.
Any other comments from the public?
This is Tommy Kolovic from 1316 Ohio Street. I know it's gonna make a lot of people upset by me saying this, but I believe it's time for the council to impose the wheel tax like Laporte did in 2017. Thank you.
Any other comments from the council? Well, coming from the public, sorry. Any other comments from the public? Comments from the public? Public comments are now closed. Comments from the council. Councilman Paul Prejelinski.
I personally want to thank Rodney and Tom for those comments. And I would also like to thank my brother Don for taking a ride and looking at all these streets. So what was discussed today in our workshop and what's going on is the amount of match money that I'm looking at should be more from the redevelopment commission. It hasn't happened. The administration didn't listen. We also brought up we brought up the fact about this Town Crier Road that out there in the South Tiff it is bad past the Aldi store. We just found out people were saying that they didn't have any rights or any they didn't own it. Now we find out they own it. Did they change their plan to pave it? No. We also talked about Cleveland Road. Did they come up with more money to do that now? No. But we're going to take the motor vehicle highway fund money away from the neighborhoods and put it on this for a contingency fund. And we don't even know what they're talking about contingencies. Don't you think that it should all been taken care of by now? That they know any kind of problems, since they've been working on this since March? Jeez. I'm just saying you're taking money away, and you can say it's great, it's wonderful, it's beautiful. Yeah, it is. But that MVH money should stay for use in the neighborhoods. That's where it should stay, in the areas that need it. Because if you look at one of them maps from that Pazer, which I already did, they have the brick streets classified as a 3. All right. And they've already been worked on, but you have to maintain them. And there's over 60, I think there's a rough estimate of 70% of the streets in the second ward are 3. The only streets that are above that are Franklin, Barker Ave, and they just paved Barker Ave last year in the cycle. Not the whole thing, but part of it. So what I'm asking you to do is they already signed the contract with IDOT and sent it out after the fact. I'm asking you not to vote for this money. That's what I'm asking. And be responsible to the neighborhoods. We can talk about it's great and it's beautiful and everything else. But you're taking the money that we could match in this upcoming year, and we're not going to have it. The redevelopment commission's got money, and if it's 100,000 or 150,000, let them ante up. Let them ante up. Don't vote for this. Thank you.
Any other comments from the council? Any other? Councilman Jigas?
Yeah, if I could just finish up. Remember, we're leveraging this to get a $1.5 million grant to pave streets in Michigan City. Maybe it's not the street you want to pave, but remember, we are collecting names of streets to go to the next project. This is already written. This grant has been written out. And if we don't put in the 250, we're going to lose the $1.5 million. That's all there's about that. So that is for the city. That is a big loss to the city if we don't pass this. I agree, more streets need to be looked at. I hope that we have a vehicle to do that with.
Okay, Ms. Nyla on the vote?
I need a motion.
Oh, okay, we have a motion? Was that you, Debbie?
So I move that we pass this. I move that we approve this ordinance on third reading.
Support.
So we have a motion by Angie Nelson and a second by Councilman Gene Simmons. Ms. Nyla on the vote?
Mr. Mack?
Aye.
Ms. Deitch?
Aye.
Mr. Don Prespolinski?
Aye.
Mr. Simmons?
Aye.
Ms. Jacobs?
Aye.
Mr. Paul Prespolinski?
Nay.
Ms. Tillman?
Aye.
Mr. Dabney?
Due to the fact that I work for NDOT, I have to abstain.
And Mr. Fitzpatrick?
Aye.
We have 7 in favor, 1 opposed, and 1 abstained.
Okay. On to new business. Is there any new business, Snow?
You can go ahead if you'd like.
Okay. The council has 1 appointment to the tree board representing the neighborhood association. Term will begin immediately and expire 3/15/2024. Incumbent Laura Henderson representing the Eastport Neighborhood Association. We received a letter February 1st. And everyone has received the email. Ms. Henderson, I see you're on. Did you have something to?
Yes, a couple of things. My name is Laura Henderson. I live at 510 East 9th Street, and I very much appreciate the opportunity to serve on the tree board. There's points of misinformation here in the agenda. I'm representing Elston Grove Neighborhood Association, and always my term has expired in 1 year instead of 3 years, so that would be 3/15/2022.
Okay, Ms. Snyder, we'll get that corrected on the record.
Will do.
Okay. On to unfinished business. Thank you, Ms. Henderson. On unfinished business nominations, the council has 2 appointments left to the Commission on Social Status of African American Males representing incumbents, Ms. Albertine Allen, Minority Health Partners of the County, and Pastor Jakar Williams, Ministerial Alliance Association. We received both of those, and the emails have been copied to everyone. And we've got 1 appointment left on the Urban Enterprise Association. And the council has 2 appointments to the Urban Enterprise Association. And we also received a interest from Jacqueline Bird Jones.
If I may, Mr. Chair?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, Ms. Jones.
I would like to make a nomination for Ms. Jacqueline Bird for the Urban Enterprise for resident.
Support.
Right. Have a second? All in favor? Or on the call, Councilman Dabney? You're muted.
I was thinking that back on with for social status for African American males, we did receive a letter for Albertine Allen and Jakar Williams.
Yes, we did, but it was after Thursday. So we could go ahead and vote if you'd like.
Yes, let's do that.
Okay, we're going out of order.
Well, okay, Councilman Don Prespolinski?
Yeah, point of order, where it says the council has 2 appointments to the Urban Enterprise Association with the following nominated at the January 19, 2021 meeting. Term begins immediately. I know that Councilwoman Tillman nominated somebody for the resident, but aren't the nominations already closed and tonight we're voting on this?
There was 3 appointments.
Yeah.
2 of them were filled, 1 wasn't, so the nomination continued. And now she made nominations for that person.
For the resident?
Yes.
Okay, so you got 2 for each, 2 for the business and 2 for the residents?
1 for the resident, 1 for the business, 1 for the resident. According
Yes,
to the.
So you got 2 for the resident
Right.
and 1 for
Correct.
the business. Okay, all right.
Okay, we had the nomination already.
Support.
Support. Ms. Nyla on the roll call, or just a voice vote?
Point of order. So couple of things. I didn't know if we had to do anything with Laura Henderson. I know it was a FYI for her appointment. I didn't know if we had to do a vote on that. And then the other thing was the only votes are the ones that we already nominated at the last council meeting. This is just a nomination that will be held over to the next council meeting.
Okay.
For that second.
So we're voting on Esther and
right. So yeah.
And Keith.
Correct.
And we've already had the nominations.
We just did the nomination for Jacqueline for Jones for that, but do we have to do the nomination for the social status? That's what Mr. Councilman Dabney, I think, was talking about. We didn't do.
Okay. When we put the agenda out, and it said nominations, I had not received those letters.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
So that's why it says nominations, not that I received it.
Okay.
Okay. So again, I could go ahead and vote, and I could do the oaths and get it going.
When do we get Jacqueline Jones?
Okay. Got it.
Pleasure.
What'd you say, Mr. Dabney?
I was just saying, when did we receive Jacqueline Jones? I know I saw it. When did that come in, Tracy? I know you made the nomination. I saw it come in. I just don't remember the date. That was good.
It came into my office when I was off Thursday and Friday, and they didn't copy to my other staff members.
Okay.
So when I came in, it was here last week.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, so on to the vote, Ms. Nyla.
Okay, so we're doing the vote on Esther and Keith.
Yes.
Okay, did you want to take a motion or just? We need a motion if I'm taking a vote.
I move to accept the 2 appointments to the Urban Enterprise Association, Esther Gunchin and Keith Devereaux.
Second.
And we have a motion by Councilwoman Angie Nelson and a second by Don Prespolinski. All in favor?
Good job.
Say aye.
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 All right. And council has 1 appointment to the Veterans Commission. Term will begin immediately, and that is the incumbent Connie Anderson. And we'll be taking votes for that. Councilwoman Angie Nelson? Yes.
I move that we accept the appointment of Connie Anderson to the Veterans Commission.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilwoman Nelson and a second by Councilman Don Prespolinski. All in favor, say aye.
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 All right, motion carries. Councilman Paul Prespolinski.
I wanted to ask about the nominations for the social status of African American males. Didn't we receive a letter from Rodney McCormick about his appointment? And can anybody clarify anything on that?
Councilwoman Tracy Tillman?
Ms. Nyla?
Ms. Nyla.
Okay, again, that came in after the last meeting, to send it out. So the correspondence had to go on the agenda this time, and you voted him in at the last meeting. So that is why there was a letter on the agenda.
Oh, okay. All right, thanks.
Councilwoman Tillman?
And also that did go out to all the council members, which was a letter entailing his reasonings and the acceptance of the position for the social status.
Okay. Councilwoman Nelson?
Hate to go back, Councilwoman Deitch, but going back to the nominations, did we receive any other letters, Clerk Nyla, for Urban Enterprise? I just want to make sure that we.
Yes, we also received one, and I know everyone got a copy. It was from Mr. Augustus.
Okay, because you didn't ask if there were any other nominations. You just went on, and I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah. So there were two that I've received, Jacqueline Jones and David Augustus.
Are we voting on David too?
No, but you didn't ask if there were any other nominations. Just to be fair, you probably should have asked if there were any other nominations and if there were any other letters received in the clerk's office. And I didn't want to. We just kind of we went on to the next thing.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Councilman Fitzpatrick, you had your hand up? No? Okay. All right. Any comments from the public? Comments from the public?
Rodney McCormick.
Okay, Mr. McCormick.
All right, Mr. Mack, I think you're doing a good job as president. Keep up the good work. To everybody else on the city council, and it's time to play hardball with redevelopment. I believe that our neighborhoods, the money from redevelopment, they use the word urban renewal, kind of got to me when I was listening to some of the stuff they were saying. Redevelopment need things from you guys, and y'all need to start making them negotiate and make them start spending money in these neighborhoods. They neglected us since we haven't received a dime of that TIF money in this over here in Canada. Not one dime. That's not right. So when they want to come back and want something from you guys, I hope you remember that come negotiation time. Get more out of them and give them less, because they're not treating us right over here in Canada. And I'm starting to think it's a black thing. And I hate to play the race card or say it seems like that, but it seems like all our black neighborhoods is being just neglected and nobody cares about it. And that's just the way I feel. I'm hoping that I'm wrong, but I've been over here for 20 years now, and it took 20 years to get a patch on the street. So, hey, I appreciate you guys. Keep up the good work. Don, I look forward to keep working with you and Angie. We get things done, but it's too slow. It's taking too long. These houses need to be torn down, and we living in a TIF district don't make no sense to me. Thank you.
Any other comments from the public?
This is Tommy Kolovic from 1316 Ohio Street. First and foremost, I want to wish everybody a happy Black History Month. And the other thing I want to talk about is I was really happy to see that Amazon set up package delivery lockers. You can order your packages on Amazon. You can have them delivered to it. They got two locations now. One at Save-A-Lot on Franklin Street. Another at the Handy Spot on Michigan Boulevard. You can opt to have your package delivered to the lockers, and you don't need to fall victim to a porch bandit. They say there's been a rash of that around lately. And I also want to say we do have a graffiti ordinance on the books. I think I speak for everybody that we're not interested in seeing anybody's graffiti around the city. And I got good news. They're letting us go back to see the kids' basketball games at the high school and all the other sporting events. The team's got a big, two big dueling conference matchups coming up Thursday night against Chesterton. They got a makeup game against Valpo on Tuesday. So we all got to sit up in the upper section, but at least we get to go. So I want to send my good well wishes to get well to Mayor Perry. We know he's been stricken with COVID, and hope he gets back into the mix. Yeah. Other than that, I just want to wish everybody have a good evening, and thanks for taking my comments.
Okay, any other comments? And thank you. Any other comments from the public? Any other public comments? Any other public comments?
Yeah, this is Laura Henderson from 510 East 9th Street. I would like to read the letter that I sent in regards to secretarial services for the tree board. So below is a list of duties which our board no longer has provided to us. The list is extensive and it is followed by the access needed in order to complete these duties. I assure you that the board is not able to fulfill all these duties. I expect many other boards are in a similar situation. I suspect the council may not have been fully aware of the extent of the support which we need in order to do our work in accordance with the law. In order that we may continue our work for the passage, your recent decision to remove these services from us, find a new way to provide these vital services. Thank you for your consideration request. The list, I'll read that quickly. Schedule meetings in reserved location, prepare agendas and meeting packets, prepare monthly financial report from the city's New World program, prepare monthly claims list, email agendas, meeting packets to board members, and appropriate email distribution list, post accordingly, mail agendas, meeting packets to board members, mail agenda accordingly, handle phone and email inquiries and route appropriately, maintain and update arborist contractor list as licenses come in, email to appropriate distribution list, post accordingly, mail annual arborist contract renewal reminder in December, attend evening meetings, subcommittee meetings, workshops, take and transcribe meeting minutes, keep and maintain official meeting records, hard copies as well in city's computer system, keep and maintain all board correspondence and records, hard copies as well as in city's computer system, prepare letters, correspondence as directed by the board, prepare and maintain board budget accounts, process invoices in city's New World program, prepare and process payroll for the board, and the accesses that are required. Have access to computer to prepare documents and send out emails, have access to printer and scanner, have access to letterhead, envelopes, ink, ties, have access to record meetings, have access to downloads meeting recordings to city's computer system, have access to city's computer system to maintain record, process invoices and payroll, maintain budget. That's all.
Thank you, Ms. Henderson. Mr. Tom Smith has been trying to get in. Caleb, is it a problem with his? I see a note here. He says he can't talk.
Yeah, trying here.
Okay. Let's give him a second here.
Unmute. Have you got me now?
Yes.
Okay, great. I hope you all have received my letter. I'm Tom Smith from 1710 West 10th Street. Basically, it seems to me like the appraiser was in a hurry and didn't do his job, didn't cross all his T's and dot his I's. And yeah, I think he got some things wrong, and I do think he was a little prejudiced about the neighborhood. Then the relocation agent rushed his job. He did not talk to us before coming up with a comparison home. Now, he didn't even know that I owned a business, so he didn't know what was important for me, but supposedly he found a home. And of course, that home would not possibly work for me going to run my business out of. I don't think these people are against me. I think that they just are not taking their time, and they don't want to have to go back and redo something because that will slow them down. And it seems to me like, to deal fairly with me, they have to redo some of their work. And it seems like it's just easier for them to push through, not realizing that what they're taking away is something I worked a lifetime for, and they don't want to invest a few hours. So what I'm asking for the council is to ask NICD to review what has happened and to sit across from me and negotiate. I have not sat across from anyone who can make a decision yet. And I appreciate it, and I hope that you will do this. They are literally taking away my retirement and my livelihood.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Smith. Are there any other public comments? Any other comments from the public? Any other comments from the public? Is that someone trying to get in, Caleb? Or are we closed?
I believe we're closed.
Okay, public comments are closed. Any comments from the council? Councilman Don Prespolinski. You're muted, sir. You're muted, yeah.
All right. Hey, I learned how to unmute myself tonight, so that's good. All right. A few comments here. The COVID-19 is still an issue with us, and it's going to be an issue with us for a long time to come yet. But I just want to encourage everybody, for now, 65 years and over can schedule to get your COVID shots. So go out there and get it. Unfortunately, there's still people that I know, even this week, that have passed away from this disease here in Michigan City. So it's not a hoax, it's here, and we have to protect ourselves from it. And just like Tommy was talking about the basketball games, if I could comment on that, because I was talking to some gentleman that went to a basketball game last weekend. I guess they opened up the gyms last weekend. I guess 25% can go in there. But even so, when you go to the games, I guess you sit in certain areas, but not everybody wears a mask. So you still, you got to be vigilant with this stuff and wear your mask. You can scream all you want, but you can still yell through a mask. So protect yourself. And then I just want to thank everybody, because I'm sure the rest of the council is aware of this Bismarck Hill issue with the little homes that they were proposing to build up there. Well, apparently that plan has been done away with, and that company is no longer pursuing that. So I just want to thank everyone from the public that had commented on that, both for and against, but the ones that voted or voiced their opinions against it were the majority, so that project is not going to happen. As Councilman Paul Prespolinski mentioned, that Town Center Drive belongs to Michigan City, and apparently it has for a while now. And talking to Jeff Wright, there are plans in the fall that they're putting together that they're going to redo that, and it'll be paid for out of the TIF district. And just something as being not even a councilman, but I think everyone, as far as being good citizens, and I know Councilwoman Tillman has commented about it, and that's shoveling the snow off of your sidewalks so that the citizens of Michigan City can move around. There are people that use the sidewalks as their main means of transportation. And I believe there is a city ordinance that you're supposed to shovel your sidewalks within 24 hours of a snow event. And it's just being a good neighbor and being fair to people. Your mailman, you know, I know there's no more paper boys, but, you know, whoever needs to use the sidewalk, you know, we need to go out there and make sure that, you know, that this is done properly. And that's it. Thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. Chief.
Sorry about that. Councilwoman Tracy Tillman.
Thank you. I would just like to make a small correction to Councilman Don Prisbalinski. I actually did send out an email to the mayor and to the council and the administration in regards to the issues that we have within the Fifth Ward and along down Michigan Boulevard, which is also prevalent in other wards as well. Yes, residents are responsible for keeping their sidewalks shoveled and accessible, but the city sidewalks, the right-of-ways, it's the city responsibility. And that's a problem. As of right now, there is a high foot traffic down Michigan Boulevard, and the sidewalks, the main sidewalks, are not plowed, not shoveled, not no salt, no nothing. So we have constituents. We have residents, we have children who have to walk in these streets. That's a safety hazard. And I want to be proactive for our ward, for my ward, for the Fifth Ward, and in hopes that, to my understanding, I spoke with Mr. Smith with the street department, and I believe the city does have 2 snow plows that could possibly be utilized. Back in March of last year, the mayor made a statement at the Board of Works meeting once it was validated that the city indeed had the equipment to clear the sidewalks. And as long as they were functioning and running, he gave his word that he will make sure that the Michigan City sidewalks will get cleared. That has not occurred yet. So in the meantime, what are we supposed to do for our residents? We have the residence area, the side streets. You have kids that can't catch the school. Well, they're catching the city school buses, but they have to stand in the street to catch the bus because the sidewalks are not clean for them. We're putting our children, we're putting pedestrians, we're putting our other constituents at risk because we don't have clean sidewalks. What are we going to be able to do to get this matter rectified? We get fundings for new positions, but what about our everyday for our residents, for our constituents and their safety and their well-being? Okay, we had the ADA. Don, great notice with the engineer department for the ADA, the push buttons to make sure that they was functioning down Franklin Street. It would have been nice if that was across the area. And I'm just saying this to get back to the snow removal. We can't get to the ADA push button across the streets because it's packed with snow. So they got to get out of the street to get up into the snow to push the button. That's ridiculous. So I'm hoping, and I'm posing this to the redevelopment for those that is watching or that is still on this Zoom, that can we get some funding to purchase for the street department 2 more snow tractors to clean the sidewalks in the resident areas in Michigan Boulevard? We can't even access our convenience stores or our gas stations or any of the businesses down Michigan Boulevard because
Ms. Tillman, your
Yes.
time's up on your
Oh,
time's
no
up on this one.
problem.
And
But
let's not
thank
turn
you.
this into a debate here. Councilman Dabney, you had your hand up for a comment?
Real quick, just wanted to announce that the Promise Scholarship applications are up for those in our Michigan City area high school, Michigan City High School here. Janet Buechner is going to be out there tomorrow to meet with guidance counselors and drop off information with folders and other information with applications and that for those students. And then also the council saw an email that I sent regarding the controller's office. And I just wanted to point something out so that the public gets a chance to hear this. This evening, we did not have a finance committee meeting. The finance committee did not have to do a finance committee because we had a 0 docket. And what that means is when we did last year's budget, when we worked out the budget, the controller's office actually worked all of those things that we were paying, those day-to-day expenses that were coming out of Riverboat and Boyd Development that we always approve on these dockets. They actually moved those into the general fund. So we're going to see maybe a couple of dockets of some straggler invoices that are coming from 2020, but for the most part, we should not see any more dockets where we'll be paying those day-to-day expenses out of Riverboat or Boyd Development because now they have been moved to the general fund. That was a heavy lift to get that done. And that was a great job by that office of setting up the budget so that we're no longer charging those day-to-day expenses out of the Riverboat and Boyd Development Fund. So I just wanted to let the public know that that is another step for us getting on solid footing. We will see some dockets in that when it comes down to additional appropriations, because that's the way they'll have to be presented to us. There was a couple of incidents or a couple of issues on the council tonight in regards to leasing cars and raises for the lifeguards and that. And those are additional appropriations, which eventually we will see. But those day-to-day expenses have now been worked into the general fund rather than being paid out of Riverboat and Boyd Development.
Councilman Fitzpatrick. Yep,
thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to real quick say that the Finance Committee won't be meeting prior to our council meetings anymore. So I'm going to get with the other committee members and Ms. Nyla to get the full year schedule. But we're looking to meet the week prior. So if there are any things on the docket or any things that come up in the meetings that we have to address, we can have that taken care of far before we sit down to discuss them again. So if there's additional information that needs to be given to us, we could get it in a timely manner so we have the proper recommendation to make to the council ahead of time instead of rushing through the Finance Committee to get into our regular meeting. So we're going to be, like I said, I'll be working with Ms. Nyla this week to get the new schedule out, and we'll be a week prior to our meeting. Thank you.
Councilman Don Prespolinski? Oh, no,
Yeah,
Paul I'm sorry, it was Paul. Paul.
Yeah, Councilwoman Tillman, just to respond about that ADA inspection that they did on Franklin Street. I had originally requested that they do that throughout the whole city, both Franklin Street and Michigan Boulevard and the downtown area, wherever they have stoplights at, there's usually an ADA button there. So what Jeff Wright told me is they were going to start on Franklin Street, okay, because that was the initial plan. And then from there, when they get done with Franklin Street, then they're going to move on to Michigan Boulevard, and then they're going to move on into the other areas of Michigan City. So as far as I know, Michigan Boulevard and the other areas of Michigan City are going to be inspected and corrected. So I just wanted to pass that on to you.
Okay. Councilman Paul Prespolinski.
Thank you, President Mack. I would like at this time to inform the council members and the probably the administration that I had, with the help of the clerk's office, pulled some ordinances concerning brick streets. The first one was passed in 1982 to designate these streets with that they were protected. And I don't think I have to go over what streets they are, but I will. It's Ann Street, Charles, Ripley, William, York shall be protected. Any bricks removed for repair of said blocks shall be replaced. Then in 2005, we revisited this particular item and had a more extensive ordinance passed. And the thing about it is this, because it came up about contractors taking the bricks out of the streets that were paved over and whose property they were. The ordinance, this is ordinance 3966. The ordinance prohibits the resurfacing by asphalt or concrete of those blocks of brick streets now existing on Ann Street, Washington Street to Wabash Street, Charles Street, Washington Street to Wabash Street, Ripley Street, Franklin Street to Ohio, William Street, Pine to Wabash Street, York Street, 8th Street to Barker Ave. Any bricks temporarily removed for utility cuts or street repairs, whether performed by city departments or private contractors, shall be replaced in accordance with the specifications on file at the office of the city engineer. Then, in the next paragraph, it talks about all bricks removed from any street, other streets that have been resurfaced by asphalt or concrete, whether removed by city departments or by private contractors, shall be returned to the city of Michigan City. Similar bricks from city storage shall be replaced. Any damaged bricks in repair of the brick streets. Now, the reason I bring these ordinance up and out in public comment is that we're getting ready to do some street work on 9th Street, and there's brick underneath that street. So I guess I'm giving everybody notice that they need to be aware of it. And I did talk to the city engineer that they might encumber additional funding problems. But the big thing is that the wording of shall be placed in accordance with specifications on file at the office of the city engineer to ensure correct application and retain the historical nature of the streets. Well, at that time, the city engineer had developed a specification maintenance booklet. I asked the planning department about it. I didn't really get a response. I got kind of what do they call that? A deer look? Or what am I talking about? I talked to Jeff Wright about this maintenance book, and he could not find no correspondence. But I do know that it did exist because I saw it. So I guess what I'm beating the drum about is this. Our planning department has not been looking at the nature of all the neighborhoods in Michigan City. And I hope in the future that the administration and the planning department takes that and puts it to some kind of use, and especially this ordinance, because that's part of our history and it needs to be protected. But I cannot believe that these people would throw out a document that was prepared by the city engineer, and he had in correspondence with an individual, I believe it was from Iowa, came here and helped him develop this standard of repair. So with that being said, I just think people aren't looking at the future, just like I brought up tonight about the tunnel that was put in underneath 11th Street for the Barker Lafayette Sewer Project. I want to know how much that costs, because I mean, these things have to get going. We got to figure out what somebody's doing and what the planning department is doing to help the city and the neighborhoods. Instead of passing more regulations, regulations are good, but you have to come to the point where, are you infringing too much on the private citizen's right? And what we're supposed to be doing is helping them enjoy their neighborhoods when it comes to streets, parks, water drainage, water service, everything. That's why they live in the city. So with that being said, I hope the administration and the planning department take those comments and do something with them and don't set, maybe we need to set money on the side or do some kind of program for that. But I just wanted to let you know that there's ordinances on the books, and I don't think that people have been paying attention to them. But they want to pay attention to something when they want to get on the residents of the city of Michigan City. Thank you.
All right. Any other council comments? Any other council comments? Okay, quickly, I am just going to say some of the things that I've seen and I'm impressed with. And I think at some point in time, the people that really want to see things come from the RDC and things coming from the community, I'm pushing for them. The Entrepreneur Center, I've been talking to some local entrepreneurs, and I think that's going to be a boon to our young entrepreneurs. They're doing stock picks and just a lot of things they're doing. And I'm trying to stay in touch with them so that when this gets off the ground, we get hit the ground running. We've got a study on food deserts coming very shortly. We've got IU, I believe it was, is going to have the answers for that, so we can have walkable neighborhoods with small food stores. I did a paper on that with the small group, and that's coming. The LaPorte County Housing Study is coming soon, so we can have some intelligent conversation around our lack of housing. On the phone call I was on, there's a lack of housing in the smallest of towns in LaPorte County. It's not endemic to us. Some people just want to make it seem like Michigan City is this, that, that. Yeah, thank you, and just the Purdue extension for that. But Michigan City is no different than many other cities in the nation and the county. We haven't invested in housing. We've invested in sprawl in a lot of ways, and that's coming back to bite us. And what we're doing here, talking about it intelligently, trying to address it, and not throwing any blame. Some of these problems were created when I was 15 years old. So it's up to us to start to find solutions as opposed to assessing blame. And my biggest one is I've got a meeting coming up with the athletic center. I've been getting a lot of messages about the new Maryville Athletic Center and Community Center. Hammond has a great one. My message is I want ours to be top shelf. I do not want a rehab of something else. So there's some money going to be spent, and I believe in training and development. I believe in developing our young athletes, developing our young academics, and helping these young kids that got challenges that I could never dream of overcoming. That's where my passion is at. So I think between all of us, we've got all of these bases covered, and everybody run with what their passion is, and we're going to get a lot of things done. Status quo is just not going to stay. I'm not even concerned about that. We're going to change it. Just let's look forward to tomorrow and figure out how to fix it, as opposed to looking back last week and trying to figure out who did it. Really is irrelevant. We can go forward and fix a lot of things. We've got opportunity coming. So thanks a lot. Do I have a motion to adjourn this meeting?
Motion to adjourn.
So move.
Motion to adjourn by Councilman Don Prespolinski and second by Councilman Sean Fitzpatrick. Good night. Good night.